Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
I don't have anything witty to start off tonight, other than hello, everybody.
You can start it off like Dune.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. I wish I had a didgeridoo, and then it would sound very Dune-ish.
Yeah.
I was talking about that alien language that's right at the start of the movie where it's just like...
Well, they had a lot of that. That was actually done pretty well, I thought. Before it gets lost, Mr. Tickle Trunk with a super sticker for $2 with the fox dog farting hearts. The Shimu emu.
Shiba doo-doo-boo-doo-boo.
Yeah.
By the way, the Shiba Inu coin is going bananas. It
is, and if it ever hits $1,
you're out.
I'm good.
You're oot. Me too. You and I are both oot on that, and not only
I don't
that,
think it would ever hit $1, but
it might actually. No, look. Okay, so Shiba's tied to Ethereum. Ethereum is tied to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to go to $200,000 in the next 2 years. I think we're good. I think we could. I think this is the path. And not only that, I have Satima Inu. This is the ridiculousness. I spent $100 on Satima Inu a few weeks ago. I'm up $1,600. That's it, dude. It's like a ridiculous.
I've never heard of that. What?
Satima. You have to actually buy it through Uniswap.
Oh,
but
okay.
They're opening their own exchange. So just like Shiba just did, but Shiba just got listed. You know that, right?
Listed on what?
To trade on the stock market.
Oh, really? Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah. So Shib's.
Well, I've been buying it through Coinbase.
Yeah, Coinbase. Yeah.
I have one of those apps for day trading that you can track stuff. And
yeah, me too. Yep.
I don't remember what the hell that's called. It's on my Mac.
But I'm just like I said. I mean, I do all that crazy stuff, and I'm going to tell you, Doge is going to go up.
Yeah, I bought some Doge. I wish I bought it when it was like super low because it's 24 cents now, which is kind of ridiculous.
24 cents. Yeah, and it's going to bump up again. Okay, so this is what you need to understand about crypto, guys. For those of you in the audience, and I am not giving you financial advice.
Yeah, none of us are financial advisors.
But crypto is volatile.
Yep.
Just accept it. The nice thing about it is it always ends up being up eventually. And that's just like real estate. It goes, and you may have some down points, but then it goes, and you wish you bought it.
Yeah. The funny thing about the whole thing with like Shiba, and let me let George in real quick. And all that stuff, it's like, if you just throw like $100 into it, then you're good. What's up, George? How you doing?
How you doing, my friend? How's it going, Culture?
Good.
Good, George.
I was enthralled listening to your review of Dune earlier. I was so excited because I had listened to Gary's review earlier, and he said it's a good show. It's not great, but then I listened to yours, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna watch it tonight. It's on HBO.
It's good. It's really good. I mean, it's not like the best movie ever, but as far as like the cinematography,
yeah.
And what I know about Dune, it does a pretty good job of, I thought, sticking to it.
Really? Because I love the first Dune. I even love the Smithy version. I have it. I originally got it from Portugal. I mean, I love Dune. I love Kyle MacLachlan and as Muad'Dib.
Paul Muad'Dib.
I just hope they have that "Long Live the Fighters," or I don't know if that's in this first film. Tom, do you know if it is?
I don't
think that line would be. I think that's the wrong. Well,
you remember
it should have been.
In the first Dune, but I don't know where it breaks in this one.
This one breaks just well. Do you want to get the spoilers already?
Well, I already took the spoilers off, so I mean that was like one of the things I was thinking about too. It's like this. People know the movie, right? I mean,
how
the
can
story.
You not? It's been out. They had a sci-fi show.
It's a 50-year-old book.
If you haven't read Dune by now,
you have a problem.
Or if you haven't seen, you know what? I don't care what anybody says. Lynch's version is still a lot of fun.
I love it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I
like.
liked all three. I really liked the one that Sci-Fi did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty good. I've been friends with people who are really into Dune, so they thought it was good and they like what they did with that. And of course, the Lynch film is pretty much a freaking classic in its own right. But this one was good. I liked it.
You did?
Yeah. I was very kind of hesitant about the actor playing Paul.
Okay.
From the trailers, but he does a good job.
Really? Because in the trailers, he was the one that I was the one I was worried about the most. Like I was like, he just didn't have that Kyle MacLachlan vibe. It stuck in my head more than with the character in the book. That's the
my only issue with the casting was what's her face is
Zendaya.
No, Zendaya didn't bother me either. It was just because she didn't have any gravitas to her, right? Like, and it's not so much I would have cared less if it was like if you're going to do what they were doing there, you should have got somebody like Angela Bassett or somebody like that, somebody who actually has some gravitas to them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When they step in, to make them feel more important. You know what I mean? Like,
right, but why? I didn't like. I hate when anyone. She
seemed too young for the character too.
Oh, really? So she didn't have any weight.
She was okay. She was fine. She was serviceable. But like when I think of that character, like that's the reason they have Max von Sydow playing him in the original is you want to have somebody with a presence when they come in. You get it. He's somebody who obviously has been around the block. Is kind of the whole point. And, you get when he comes in. Since he's Max von Sydow, whatever he's going to say is going to be important, right? Mm-hmm. If you would have got somebody like Angela Bassett, to where somebody I already know, like this actress I don't know from Tom, Dick, or Harry. So like,
isn't she the Spider-Man girl?
You're talking about Zendaya. I'm talking about the one who played Leah Kynes, the older
Leah Kynes. Okay,
yeah, the older black. She's only in it for like 10, not even 10 minutes. Like she's barely in it.
Really?
Yeah. See, I mean, she serves the same purpose, but
I hate changing canon. I just don't like. I don't like the race swapping, gender swapping.
I'm not a fan of it either. But I mean, it was fine. They didn't do anything obnoxious with it.
Okay, they didn't.
And yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was fine.
Basically, what we heard from behind the scenes was that they told Denny if he didn't switch one of the characters, they would.
Yeah.
So he made sure it was, but it had to be a main character. So he made sure it was the one that was the least.
What's up, Dalton?
Like that has the least to do with the story overall, because they're no longer in the story after this one.
Well, Max von Sydow did a great job, but okay. But anyway, so
Max von Sydow did. Come on, even Jürgen Prochnow in that. I mean, those were great.
The original cast is amazing too. Yes, don't get me wrong.
I can't remember the name of the actor who played the bear in Harkonnen. I always forget his name.
It's one of the Skarsgårds.
Yeah,
not in this one.
In the original.
In the original. I don't remember.
Oh God, it was so good. I can't remember him.
British character actor.
Yeah, he was so great. He did so many.
I have to play the devil's advocate, I guess, in this case, because I hated Dune 2021. I hated it so much.
Okay.
I blame Denis Villeneuve. I do. He does the same thing that Christopher Nolan does, in that the stuff he's doing is technically immaculate, but there is absolutely no soul. It's so sterile, so bland.
I disagree with that, but I think there might be a reason for that. Why some people are feeling that way.
Why?
I think it's fucking Hans Zimmer's score.
Really?
Well, it's not just the score. It's also like the color scheme. A lot of the acting is this really quiet, like overly dramatic shit that reminds me a little bit of Christian Stewart.
Dalton, you're gonna fucking hate Eternals then.
I know. Here's the thing.
I mean,
terrible.
You cast several actors that are, let's say, that are great for action, but not necessarily great for acting. Jason Momoa, and then boy bitch, what's his name?
Momoa looks like he could pull off the role.
Timothy Chalamet.
No. Fucking Drax, the guy that plays Drax.
Dave
Bautista. Thank you. He's a bitch boy.
When I say that, because I felt like I got more emotion out of this Paul than I did out of what's his face's Paul in the '84 version.
Kyle MacLachlan?
Kyle MacLachlan, yes.
Really?
Are
Yes.
you high?
Wow.
No, I'm not high at all because this one actually gets into, as far as my opinion anyway, without getting too deep into the deep spoilers, but just how he faces first off the responsibility of, becoming the leader of his people, and then he learns all this other shit on top of it from his mother's side, and he blames her, right? Like, and they actually have a scene that's
that was good.
That they never really touched on before.
Okay,
where
now understand, I've read the books, and you are spoiling the film for me, guys. If you're out there and you haven't either read the books or seen any of the film or the miniseries, you might want to.
First of all, you should, because the original Lynch Dune is amazing, and
it's
the books
not accurate.
are awesome.
It isn't, but it's a brilliant film. That's what I was. I mean, it gives you a sense of Dune. It's not accurate, I agree, but it's like okay. Here's the question, Tom. In comics, where would you both put it on a scale of? Well, I say like Lord of the Rings is the epic of the last 27 years. Where would you put it
fantasy?
on that scale? No, I mean as a film, as
an epic,
score, acting.
Look, and this is and with all due respect to everybody here, like I don't like any of Denny's other films.
Okay.
Like Blade Runner 24 is like the closest I've come to actually like it, and that's just because it's watchable to me.
I didn't like it.
The Arrival, I thought the effects were great.
Not that great, but the visuals are amazing.
Yeah, the Arrival.
That's the problem. It's a Nolan thing. It's what Dalton was talking about.
Yeah.
It's fair. I get where you're coming from, but I didn't feel the same way I felt after watching this like I did after The Arrival. That's my point.
Okay. It's not. He's getting better. I will say that. I think Denis Villeneuve is getting better, but he's such a and I think Culture and I are on kind of the same page. The problem is there's no attempt to bring any life to the situation whatsoever.
Okay, I haven't met you before.
It's sterile is the problem.
When you mean sterile, explain. Are you talking about there's no depth to the characters? There's no depth to the scene? It's all visuals and then just...
Well, it's not even, and this is where I'm gonna not make any friends here, but just because you can have these visuals doesn't mean you don't have to pay attention to what those visuals are. And this is where I come into with the color scheme and the aesthetics. The actual effects are fine, but the color scheme and the aesthetics of this movie are so just bleh that it doesn't matter how beautiful the actual translation of the effects are, because what they're translating is brown and vaguely gray and vaguely sometimes gold.
What's this desert planet supposed to look like?
Like,
I mean, that's a fair thing. I get that. Like, I honestly,
I didn't mind it. I think, in my opinion, they captured the Dune aesthetic rather well. Like I said, this is not. I've never read Dune. I've only watched the TV series and the movie. But for what I know from talking to people, I mean, in just kind of my own preconceptions of what Dune is supposed to be about.
Right.
I thought they captured it.
Okay.
At least with the visuals, the ships were interesting. It was kind of weird. If you've ever heard of the tabletop RPG game Fading Suns, there's like this one of the aspects they have in there is the church.
Okay.
And it made me kind of think about how, what would religion look like in the future. And I think that they did kind of capture a lot of that stuff. And here's Nina.
Oh, hail Nina.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
By the way, we just got an update on that tragedy earlier and hi Nina. This just came across here. This is just fresh off the press. It was Alec Baldwin who fired the prop gun that killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins, by the way, on the recent accident. So, wow, that's breaking news right now.
What?
Whoa,
Alex Baldwin killed someone?
Alec Baldwin is the one. Well, he didn't do it on purpose. There was an accident just happened today on the set of the movie Rust. Alec Baldwin's brand new Western he's shooting for Netflix. First day of shooting.
Damn.
Cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed. She was 42.
Wow.
And the gun it was a prop gun that had a misfire, and the one that that was shot the gun was Alec Baldwin. That's the brand new news.
Yeah,
another
injured the director too.
So another Brandon Lee, basically.
Yes, and the director. So this is why, and this makes more sense now. This is why they probably had the other gun. It sounds like it was a close-up. If it was the cinematographer and the director, then that's what happened.
Damn.
This is very similar to the Brandon Lee situation. Very, very, very similar.
So what? It ended. It basically shredded the end of the barrel. Is what it would have done.
Probably.
Oh wow. Okay, so this isn't like a blank being lodged into somebody. This is the actual gun exploding.
Yeah,
wow,
it
that's
sounds
terrible.
like. It's similar but different. Like, yeah. So sadly, we'll get more information, I'm sure, as this comes out. But the breaking part though is that Alec Baldwin was the one who actually
shot it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, as much as I don't like that person for his politics.
Oh yeah, you don't want that for anybody. Yeah,
terrible. Oh my god, as a human being.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to derail things right there, but that just came across my desk here, so I just thought.
What happened to a film like that?
Things got deep, but quickly there.
It at this point, considering it just started, chances are it'll get shut down. The most recent when they had a tragic, like that doesn't necessarily mean it will, but chances are it probably will, because I don't know, maybe it won't. But
I wonder if it'll get recast, the movie that they were, or show they were familiar with.
See, like they had a recent death on Deadpool 2 that did not derail the production, but now they did on the Allman Brothers movie a while back, and that completely killed that movie.
Which one was the one where the chopper? Remember, it was that
was the Twilight Zone with Victor Morrow and the kids.
Victor Morrow,
yeah.
The chopper crash. Yeah, I remember.
This is just a sad thing that had to have happened. But anyhow, back to Dune. Sorry about that, guys.
No. So comics, where would you put it on a scale of epics? Was it epic?
I mean, it was good. I wouldn't consider it to be epic.
Okay.
So
it's just a good movie.
It's a good movie. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's not anything I would be like, oh my god, this is
amazing. I would say that it's a start of something epic.
It's a start of something I think really good. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
For me, I think
I was like, yes, this is amazing. I was so in. I was like, yes. It was the only the thing that I can say about it is like I can see why some people wouldn't like it because the movie had a pulse. So it was like at some places it was really slow and rhythmic, and you're just kind of like going along with the pulse of it, and then it'll get it'll pick up pace, it'll become faster, and then it'll come slower again, and it's very moving in a way. It's very artistic, and that
it felt like a movie that was shot in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got a lot of
photography was great. The visuals were good. The acting was pretty decent. The story was good.
Yep.
I got a lot of that feeling while I was watching it. Like, and maybe that's part of where like a lot of Lynch's doing influenced this one, because Denny was a big fan of that. So he does, kind of borrow some like designs and things of that sort, and some of the structure a little bit, but not so much. From that,
well, there's still
Bucky Moore's asking me, is it Blu-ray worthy? That's a good question. It's definitely a movie that, since I watched it on the small screen, I'm actually willing to fork over the money to see it on the big screen.
Oh, okay.
It's not like a movie where it's kind of one and done. I mean, this is something that I would probably go and rewatch.
This is going to be a reference quality 4K Blu-ray, I guarantee you. The sound alone is fucking amazing.
The sound is done really well.
But much in the same way as with James Cameron's Avatar and with Inception, just because it's all pretty and because they put the production values into it doesn't mean it amounts to anything worth watching.
That's your opinion, Dalton, and that's fine.
Dude,
but
I don't know
I
what
enjoyed
you're
it. Like I said,
about.
it's not the world's greatest film. Like I said, it's not. Comparing it to Lord of the Rings, it's not Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
But it's something I wouldn't mind watching
though.
again, though.
Here's the thing: what comes even close to this in the past, like
nothing has for like 20 years.
Has come
okay,
close
so
to
that
this.
right there is a reason to watch it. We've had nothing but crap for the last couple of years, so a great film today is. That's good for me.
So what a number score from me. I'd give it an 8.5. I'm a pretty harsh critic on movies, and I very rarely give anything above like a 7 or 8 if it's a good movie.
What
Oh,
is
that's
it,
great.
culture? You look like you're about to take your panties off and throw it at
Rewind.
us.
No. Just rewind a little bit. When you say there's nothing like it, that's not true. You had an epic. You had an epic that ran over this like a series of almost 20 films.
What are you
That
talking
was-
about?
Marvel?
Marvel.
Yeah. And
This is on a different level.
Yeah,
This is a
it's
different
different.
level thing,
I-
culture.
I-
This is
I-
not a
those were
superhero
superhero,
movie. This is not a bright Marvel
But it's
amazing.
okay. But here's the thing.
colorful.
Okay, well then, if you don't want a bright Marvel amazing thing, just wait for Eternals to come out. You'll enjoy that too, Nina. The point is,
Just wait for
point-
what to come out?
Eternal.
The-
Eternals. They're basically
Yeah.
going the pretentious art house route with Eternals.
Well, because they have that
godforsaken-
director who won that Oscar this
Chloe.
year.
Chloe
whatever her
was
name
on.
was.
Chloe
From what I've
Zhao.
heard of the
Zhao,
from what I've heard of
thank
the Eternals, you won't miss anything, and it almost feels like the movie was shot as a also ran or on its own. Like they
Oh.
could cut it out if
You
they
mean
had
like Black
to.
Widow
Like straight
Yeah.
to DVD or straight to Blu-ray now.
or like
Well,
Captain
I
they
Marvel?
put
don't
too much
know.
money in
I
it for
don't
that,
know
but-
why they're doing it like that. I don't know why they're doing it like that at all. We've established that in the MCU, the like translation of Kirbyism is, James
do it.
Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy movies and Taika
Well,
Waititi's Thor Ragnarok. So
Taika
why
big
all of a
titties.
sudden
Yeah,
are you
I
trying
get
to de-Kirbyize something that is like the most Jack Kirby you can get?
That I agree with you on 100%.
I agree on that too.
But look,
Got a
but
video
look,
about that.
look, I'm just saying, if you look at just the Avengers films, you can cut all the other shit out if you want to. It's fine. But if you look at just the Avengers film, by the time you get to Endgame, you've had an epic run.
Right.
Is it the same? Is it the same thing as Lord of the
But-
Rings?
Yeah, but we're
Right,
talking.
right.
I'm
Well, we're
talking
talking
about something
cinema.
different.
That's
Yes.
like great movie.
I don't know.
You know,
There
that's a
was
good-
some amazing. Well, look, Georgia, I agree with you. Yes, there are some amazing cinema shots, I'm sure, in this film. I've seen a bunch of the clips, but and I haven't seen the whole film yet, so please bear with me. But in the Avengers stuff, there was some really amazing
There
cinematic.
was.
We're
I
talking
that's-
about
but that's
a
the-
novel
That's
versus
superhero, like I
it's
agree
your
with you.
But that's-
superhero comic book. You're talking about a novel that spans.
So comic books are lower than novels.
No, different.
Yeah,
different,
this
not
is
It's a
lower.
where we get into
different
this particular.
format.
I think I got a way to answer this for you, Culture. Did you watch our Halloween Kills roundtable at all?
A little bit. Of course, I
Okay.
did.
No, here's my point. I'm getting to. I just want to make sure, because the point I made there is like halfway through that movie, I just had like this epiphany. It's like, you know what? I got to quit thinking about these movies as movies, and that's the way Marvel did it to us, right? They treated them like they're basically long form serialized television shows, right?
Well,
This is a
brought- but
completely
that's
different
the-
monster.
well,
Here's
That's-
the thing, culture.
That's
Like, it's
that's
more
the thing.
like, no, go ahead. Son.
Go ahead.
go ahead, Dol.
Sorry. That's the thing that I disliked about Dune, though, is, and this happens with a lot of more artsy, artistic stuff recently, is it's so obsessed with being cinema that it forgets to actually have anything resembling a soul. It's so obsessed with being all pretentious and grandiose and self-congratulatory that it forgets to bother to be like entertaining or it doesn't bring the audience along for the ride at all. That's actually kind of my biggest problem with Dune, is it's so obsessed with being this grand cinematic thing that it forgets, wait, we're still trying to sell the people and like make an interesting thing out of it. Damn.
I don't see it like that at all, because I understand what you're saying, because I hate Zack Snyder movies because they're dull and gray and terrible.
Right.
Like
I
I
like
get what you're talking about, but I don't see that with Dune, because Dune is a space opera epic, and it's supposed to be a very different type of storytelling
Okay, so
than Marvel comics or even DC. It's not a superhero story. You
but
don't
Nina-
have a frame of reference. You have a novel where someone's described. You
Right,
don't have
but
a
I've
picture of what
I've
you're
read
supposed to
the
look at.
novels, and I've also watched the David Lynch movie, and this is the cut and thrust of it, is David Lynch, by virtue of being so balls to the wall, weird and psychedelic and shit, made it more interesting. And that's the thing. If your point of reference is the novels or the David Lynch movie, both of those did it better. And my problem is
I
my problem is a lot of the compliments I see people giving this movie is down to the source material. But my issue is how it's being adapted and how just sterile and soulless it's been adapted. There's nothing remarkable or interesting going on here. It's just trying to sell you on scale and sell you on grandeur instead of actually bothering to have any like color or characters worth caring about.
It's a
or
sand planet, dude. There's not going to be any color on it.
Here's the thing: is I keep hearing
David Lynch managed it.
Okay, here's the thing. I'll give you about Lynch. His designs are very much more amazing than what we get here. I'll agree with you there. But outside of that, Lynch's Dune is not even a patch of what we're getting here as far as the adaptiveness from the book. Like, we're getting more in depth with things than we ever got in the Lynch version.
Right, but my issue isn't what they're adapting. It's, again, how they are adapting it and how they're choosing to adapt it is a very, very
that's more of a subjective
soulless
thing.
Right, but you're saying soulless. What do you mean soulless? Are you saying the acting didn't have depth to it? It wasn't up to par? Are you saying that?
I'm saying it's very pretentious and self-congratulatory, and it's not.
What's pretentious about it?
It's not like characters or people acting in the way people would act or how people would act in this situation. It's drama talk. It's the kind of stuff you see on really bad HBO shit.
See,
where they try to force the drama through the dialogue instead of letting things.
I don't know if we watched the same movie.
See, here's the thing, Dalton, and with all due respect, I think like what I keep hearing more so is it's just not adapted the way you would do it. Like that's what I keep hearing more so, right? And that's fair, right? Because we all have our opinions on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
But for me, I'm not seeing a lot of what you're getting. Like the soullessness part, like to me, it felt like what was missing was in the most emotional scenes in the movie. Instead of having an actual score, you've got.
Well,
that's the biggest problem with this fucking movie.
We've all made jokes about Hans Zimmer.
No, but that to me is honestly the problem because the emotion is there, the struggle is there. I got invested in the characters in the story, but I feel like if it had an actual score underneath it, or at least some themes to go with some of this shit, that it would actually help elevate it a little more.
Okay, guys, let's take a quick 5-minute timeout because I have some super chats I want to address. One of this is asking about the movie.
Sorry. Go ahead.
All right, no, it's no problem. Nate D for $3. Sorry, it jumped. I can't highlight it. Catch you next time. Much brownies. My brownies are playing. Okay, Browns.
Oh,
okay, gotcha.
The Browns are football. Yeah, the Thursday night football game.
Good luck, Nate. Alan Massey for $5. What do Crypto and Drew have in common? They're both always up eventually. # true. Dislington Girl for 5 Canadian pesos. It never rained a drop on Arrakis. Yeah. Then Drew's dong arrived on a Guild Highliner that battered the Freeman, excuse me, in its bathed the Freeman in its moisture. # beware the Drew. #
beware the Drew.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Spice Must Flow joke yet.
Yeah. Toxic Man Flew for $5. Apparently, hair weaves cause brain damage. This is the best movie ever.
It's the plugs.
Modelicious asks for $2. Did it suck? In my opinion, no, it did not. Was it woke? No, it was not.
Oh, that's good. It wasn't woke.
No, it wasn't woke at all. My issues are
that's a movie in the right direction.
Actually, I could have highlighted these because anyway.
That's a step in the right direction. You know what? I wanted to answer culture. I understand what you were saying. See, and tell me if I'm wrong. I heard you're talking about the first 3 phases of the Marvel films. Together, they're an epic franchise.
Yeah. Even if
individually, they're good movies. Okay, no. I think that's what wasn't clarified. Yeah,
even that's kind of what
it's a world building over time is the thing I think he was getting.
And one thing real quick, let me get this. Mr. Tickle Trunk for $2 Canadian. I like cheese. All right,
I'm a fan.
One thing is, I understand when a lot of movies do the brown
cheddar?
sepia tone, it gets old. But in this movie, I did feel that was kind of warranted because Dune is definitely one of those kind of sci-fi films that I never saw as being, bright and pearly white.
I always felt like
a lot of sci-fi films were kind of like during that time period.
Yeah, but
it was very. I always found it to be very gritty.
Hold on,
it's
I have a
supposed
question
to
for
be.
you, Culture. So,
Yeah.
wait, you're saying you haven't seen the movie yet?
I've seen like the first 15, 20 minutes of it. So don't. Yeah.
So why does it seem like you already want to hate it for absolutely no reason? You haven't even watched the movie.
Wait.
Don't
Do
start
not
this, please.
misunderstand. I've seen a lot of stuff around this film. I've seen a lot of clips. I saw some stuff that was not in the trailer. I just want to say this. I have no concerns about whether or not it was beautifully shot. Okay. My concerns rest in, is this an epic story? And I'm hearing, by the way, from people on this very panel that you and I are both on right now, Nina, and on previous panels I've been on that have discussed the film. It's good except for this. It's good except for that. It's good except for these things.
I didn't say it's
No,
good.
I've only had two problems with it: the score, and that they could have casted a little bit more well-known actor for Leah
I like the
Kynes.
score.
Outside of that, that's my
Whoa.
only gripes.
I don't have much of a problem with it. At first, I was like, am I going to be bored with this movie? And then, as I kept watching, I actually started kind of getting really invested into it.
Okay,
That's
so
good.
Most of the time when I'm watching movies, I'm halfway paying attention to it. I actually wanted to pay attention to this movie.
So okay. So
Same.
you say that as people have been talking about color grading, and stuff like that. You can actually make desert scenes interesting.
I honestly think it's a very naturalistic coloring. I didn't really notice any sepia.
No,
either.
it
Really?
really wasn't that brown.
No, it felt very
So
naturalistic.
it's not.
to me.
Yeah.
So wait.
Well,
so
let's
I'm
put
gonna
it this
ask
way.
a question. So it's not Eternals.
Oh, hey, hang on. Yeah, it's not Eternals. Let me put it this
I
way.
haven't
Okay,
seen
if given a
Eternals.
choice of watching Dune and watching No Time to Die, I'd rather watch Dune
Okay.
because I wasn't bored. First off.
But again, I've listened to the soundtrack or parts of the soundtrack, and it's not interesting. I mean, sound
Honestly,
design is really
not just the sound design. The music didn't bother me. I thought it
Well,
was
the
fine.
music, to me, I think it just feels like it's an absence. Because here's my problem with it. Let me be clear on this. The problem with the score is you can't tell where the score begins and the sound effects end.
Okay.
But let me tell you this right now, Culture Casino. If this movie does not win sound design next year at the Oscars, I will be surprised. This is one of the best sounding movies I've ever seen. The
Oh.
sound mix is fucking amazing.
Yep.
And I have listened to, you know me, I'm a fucking sound file. So
You're-
like,
And
Yeah, you're like me.
I hated like Tenet with the whole sound situation.
Oh God, the sound
That-
was terrible for
Oh
Tenet.
god.
No.
Wait,
Mm.
I will
I'm
say,
telling you, this was done well.
Okay, but here's the thing. Aside from the sound issues with Tenet, I like the film. I've seen it 4 times.
See, I thought that
I
Tenet was
liked Tenet. I
trash.
thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
but the leveling on the
hard
audio was
sell
trash.
on Christopher Nolan there.
See, now I had the problem with Tenet was I just didn't give a shit about the characters. I knew what was going on. I could tell what was going on. I just had zero investment in the characters
Same here,
whatsoever.
Tom.
I
didn't-
fell
Yeah,
I fell
it's the
asleep
Christopher
after
Nolan problem. He forgets to add the
I-
humanity in somewhere.
The only
I
complaint I
fell
have
asleep
about the movie is just
during Tenet.
Zadana, whatever her name is,
Zendaya.
Zendaya. There we go.
Zendaya.
I think she's
Zendaya.
overrated, and I don't
I
understand why they
agree.
cast
I
her
agree.
because she looks like she's
agree
12.
with that comments
Right.
100%.
So wait a minute. So Denis Villeneuve is the same kind of filmmaker as Christopher Nolan is. They both have avant-garde styles that tilt
Yeah,
towards
the
these-
By the way,
self-congratulatory
Culture, I will
wanking
tell
is
you
what I
this
call it.
also. I also hated Blade Runner 2042.
Oh,
I didn't like.
I didn't hate
like
it, but
Blade Runner.
I
it's not
disliked
the
it a
greatest
lot.
thing.
Look, and I know people
I disliked it as well.
Can I say this real quick?
Industrial/ambient, and I think it's fine
Can
for
I
what
say
that
this real
is.
quick? I know people don't want some people to compare this to Lord of the Rings, but I got to say this much, and I don't know if this will help Culture, and maybe this is, and this is nothing against you, Dalton, but like the movie does almost have to be told in a pretentious way because that's the kind of fucking story it is. It's almost like how Peter Jackson.
Yeah,
had
but
to
the movie
approach
is
the Lord of the Rings.
also extremely weird and extremely like surreal and metaphysical and crap, and they could have gone that route,
Isn't-
kind of like the route that Lynch tried to go with it.
Yeah, you
And
can't do that. today.
that could
You
have been much
cannot
better,
do
and
that.
that's my problem. Instead of being creative, instead of actually challenging himself to engage some life into the situation, it's the same overblown, dingy, gray brown aesthetic that we get in every single dramatic like blockbuster these
This
days.
is probably
But
the
you
only
can't-
movie that needs that, though. That's the thing. It's like,
So-
that's
but
my
it doesn't.
point, right? I agree
You
with Nina on
can't
that.
you can't make the film that you're talking about today because no one would see it. Therefore, there wouldn't be a sequel.
In other words, you want
Flesh it out.
Jodorowsky's Dune.
But
Is what
wait,
you-
no, let me say this, George. You can make that film. We have three. We're going to have 3 Guardians of the Galaxy films.
I was just
You
going to
can
say
make
that,
a-
Culture. It
you-
sounds
you-
more
you-
like
you
he
also
wants
have
James
Thor-
Gunn's Dune.
You can
Well,
also
no.
Thor-
What I
Thor
he's
want
talking about
is.
finish, please. I will give you $1 if you just.
Sorry,
let me
go
finish.
ahead. Sorry.
So tomorrow, I just want you guys to understand. Tomorrow, I'm going to finish the film, and then I'm going to go see it in the biggest format I can possibly find it this weekend. So you don't misunderstand. I'm interested in the film. What I don't want to be is disappointed.
Right.
And I appreciate good cinematography, which Tom and many others, including Andre over at Midnight's Edge, has assured me this film is made up of. It's very atmospheric. There's a lot of quality cinematography. It is an epic. I'm going to accept all of these things because people that I know, people that I respect are telling me this is what this film is. But at the same time, like Tom, I've heard the elements of the soundtrack and I'm like, I fucking hate this. And if that's the background for this film, it's going to bother me a lot. And that's okay. I mean, I've lived with bad soundtracks before.
Look, it's just that score. And to me, I'm one of the main people who's had a gripe with it. Andre didn't like it, but he didn't hate it. It does serve the purpose in the film for the most part. Right?
It's not a soundtrack you're gonna play on
No,
Spotify
that's the
while you
problem I have.
shower.
And like,
Okay.
there's,
I also
okay,
like
it's not.
ambient too. So
There is a
it
scene
works for
that's.
me.
Here's my point: is there's a
I'm
scene that's
going to
very
sleep.
similar that could have been like the two suns scene in Star Wars, right? Where Paul is up on the edge of the water and he's deep in thought, and there's a swelling of a guitar tune, but instead of there actually being anything to it, it's just like, it's like, okay, instead of that, you could have had something here that like was really like that epic moment in Star Wars. And that's, I think, the problem with that part of it. And that's just one minor gripe, because if you read the interview with Zimmer where he's talking about this, his whole thing was when he saw Star Wars, he thought Star Wars should have a score like this because it's alien and all this other shit. And it's like, you totally don't understand why they went to John Williams for a score like that.
Epic grandeur of it.
Not
instead
just
of
that,
the
but because it was
warmth.
so alien, you wanted to have something to ground it. Right. And that's what you need.
And
is
you
something
had
like that to
trumpets
ground
and
it.
you had brass. You're 100% right, Tom. And that's why that
There was a part
soundtrack
in
works.
this Dune where, like, I don't know if you agree, comics, but like when not to give too many spoilers, obviously, but like when they land, but like on Arrakis the first time, and they're leaving their ships, and all the army of the bagpipes start playing. That was amazing. Like,
Oh, bagpipes. I love that.
To hear like the army of bagpipes just like announcing this other army like coming off of these spaceships. It was like this magnificent thing that like I'd never heard of anything like that before. It was really cool.
Okay, so there's something I want to highlight real quick because I want people's thoughts on this. So Night Raven 1942 says Dune 2021 has a lot of forced diversity. I actually disagree with that.
I wouldn't agree with that. No.
Outside of
as
the
far
Lions
as modern
thing,
standards go, especially, no.
It's much like The Expanse. I mean, when people leave the world and we're not confined to nations, I just don't see that being an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, and let's return to soundtrack real quick, okay, Nina.
And also, a bunch of people living on a desert planet eventually will get darker. Just
that's
throwing that
true.
out there
Yeah.
too.
Well,
I was going
melanin
to say
will
that.
change.
Well, they do a good job of differentiating like the Harkonnens.
Well, what were you going
and
to say?
stuff like
Culture?
that. Yeah, Culture wants to talk about the sound some more.
No. I just want. This is the last point I want to make. So, we've seen a desert series recently in Mandalorian, and you had elements of that soundtrack that drew you into.
I hated that music.
Really?
Yes,
because
I do.
it was very similar to a lot of soundtracks from the spaghetti westerns when you had.
There's elements I
had-
did enjoy.
Yeah, there were parts of what that composer put together that
Like Sergio
really,
Leone.
yeah, exactly. Point on, my friend.
Well, for
George,
me,
yes.
okay, it's like we kind of know what music sounds like in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's like that for me. It didn't fit, and I knew what they're going for, but it didn't work for me.
But
Where the
occasionally
music
there
with this, I thought was actually done very well because it's completely different. It's like, yeah, I've seen the other Dune movies in the TV series, or I should say, made for TV movies, not TV series. Right. But it was its own thing, and for it to be kind of weird and experimental and being, different cultural sounds, I thought worked for the movie.
Yes, except there's no Chun-Li in it. So there you go.
Here's a question I have for the people who've seen it. Did they ever show, because I had heard once they were going to show the Sardakar's home planet. Did they show that? Because I'm waiting.
They did.
Oh, okay, cool. I've always wanted to see that done.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I mean, it's very brief, but they did show it.
But at least they showed it. Okay.
Yeah, they left a lot of stuff for us. To
good point. It's Anne Sarnoff. There was a quote on Bounding earlier. They were asking, someone asked her, I don't know who the reporter was, but they asked her basically, is there going to be a sequel? And she basically responded, what do you think? Because we don't always make them for money. We obviously make them for other reasons. But basically saying that the sequel's been greenlit.
There's a misconception with that. Somebody's twisting it out there, because this is actually coming from a Variety article where Variety got access to Anne Sarnoff, Jason Kilar, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but he's
in an exclusive,
in an exclusive deal, and she dances around it like a motherfucker. She says, "I'm not making any
right. They fucked up. They should be filming that movie right now."
They should be right now, yes. But what she said, nothing basically is set in stone yet. We'll see, is basically the bottom line. But what it has to do with, and what we've been hearing, and they confirm now in this interview, is that it has more to do with how it plays on HBO Max than the box office.
So then,
because Warner already paid for this.
So they were putting in their projections then. I mean, their emotional projections to her statement is what you're saying by saying this is.
A lot of people are, yes.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. And now I know.
Well, she also,
why didn't they film them back to back? Why didn't they film them together like Jackson did?
They had no faith in it. It's a big project, and it's
because it's potentially a money sink,
and it's Legendary's money. I mean, let's be honest about it. I mean,
and let's not forget what Denis Villeneuve did to Blade Runner 2049, which probably should have made money hand over fist, but didn't, because he bollocksed it.
Yeah, but they had to write a giant check to Legendary. In fact, this is a continuing problem for Warner with their Chinese connection to Legendary, which is a Wanda Group company. Okay. That's where their finances are, considerable coming out of China. And they are not producing the kind of revenue and return that, obviously, I mean, you don't have to look that far. They had problems with GVK. It seems like Legendary's been getting the short end of the stick working with Warner Brothers right now, at least from that side of the equation. And you're going to start to see even less Chinese money in Hollywood films going forward.
Of course, because of their economy is starting to crash with the.
Well, they've already done the damage they needed to do.
China's been a paper tiger for a while. Yeah, it's about time.
I want to say this real quick about Blade Runner. Like Dalton, I don't want to be like oh, you're wrong, but no, the movie did okay. I think the problem was it cost too goddamn much, and it's such a niche fan base.
Same deal with Dune, unfortunately.
To a point, yes. But we learned also in this interview that Dune cost a lot less than what they're saying out in public.
Okay.
Dune only cost $130 million, according to Anne Sarnoff, not 165.
Oh,
Blade
wow.
Runner 2042, whatever.
She's
2049.
She's talking about the tax. She's talking about the tax incentives they got.
I can tell you this. I thought Alter Carbon season 1 was better than that movie.
Incredible. Season 2 sucked, man.
Season 2 was trash.
Was not great at all, but season 1.
No, I think Blade Runner
that's what we needed from Blade Runner. And we didn't.
Well, the thing was Blade Runner did I think 400 million, which is not bad considering that the first film was technically a flop. That one was. But it gained such a cult following. But I think that you hit the max ceiling on that. Like, the problem was they invested way too much in the idea that this was going to be some ongoing franchise, when all that movie did was divide the fan base, much like The Last Jedi, because you answered questions that should have never been answered.
I'm gonna defer to Razor Fist on his thoughts on Blade Runner 2049, because I kind of agree with everything he said, in the sense that it's one of those, this is technically a sequel to a movie that you really didn't understand going in.
Right.
And therefore...
It's also a sequel to a movie that technically did need a sequel.
Right.
But I'm of the opinion that if you do it right, you can make a sequel to just about anything, with the proviso that again,
Sometimes
if
you
you
don't
do it
need
right,
to,
being
though,
the operative
man.
phrase. But if you do it right, you should be able to make a sequel to anything. The problem is, again, and this, I guess this is sort of my fundamental problem with Dune. It's not that or Dune 2021 rather. The problems that I have with it are conceptual and aesthetic, and it's also the fact of, with everyone and their mother bigging this movie up and bigging this movie up and bigging this movie up, I'm worried that it's going to become the standard bearer for Hollywood aesthetics going forward. And that's why when I pirated the movie, and I did, and I watched it, I felt compelled to say my contrary opinion on it, because you say that the dingy gray brown bullshit works for Arrakis, and to a certain extent I agree with you. Never mind that David Lynch and George Lucas certainly had no problem making a desert planet look interesting, but never mind. I'm worried that with this being the cause du jour among all the influential people,
I don't
this
remember
is
the
have
David Lynch version being all that bright either.
No,
but granted, it's been a while.
I think this movie, if it's successful, which leads me to kind of hoping that it isn't, but for the sake of the Dune fans, I hope that it gets enough to at least justify the trilogy so that everyone can see the story finish and whatever.
The David Lynch one, and I guess Tatooine is what you're referring to, as like a life, more like a lifeful planet. It's because they had oranger sand. I don't know if that makes sense, but the sand was much more bright.
Right.
In terms of it was red, it was a red color, whereas in this was
Lynch
very
one?
realistic.
Oh no,
color.
yeah, the Lynch one. In fact, I just watched it again recently for a millionth time. The only parts that are really bright are the parts in the Harkonnens.
Right.
That's why I remember was the Harkonnens being bright because they were very red.
But back to what I'm saying.
Hang on, before we get too deep, guys, I need to get some super chats. I've had this up for a bit. Taxman flew for $5. Drew had huge money being the life-size stunt double of the sandworm in the new Dune movie.
Well, that's what he's doing right now. He's at the premiere.
Yeah, he is. Ruben Christopher Haynes for $20. Bottom line is that we have a director that is bringing his vision to the big screen, and people are excited about it. And look at us here. We are not complaining of wokeness. Yeah, that's
positive. Hell yeah.
We are having a good, healthy debate.
Yeah, that's the second time in a week. Yeah, because it was the same thing last week with Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
I'd say Tickle Chunk for 2 Canadian pesos. Do you like cheese? I like cheese. It's good.
He likes the cheese. The best desert scene I've ever seen was in Lawrence of Arabia, Attenborough's. Those are the best captured the best desert scenes.
It's been a while since I've seen that, actually.
I'm just gonna say I've never seen anybody be able to match that. Anyone?
This has glimpses, or what would you call it, like twinkles of Lawrence of Arabia in it, as far as there's a lot of shots that it felt like that epic grand kind of feel to it.
You're making me want to see it more.
No, what I say, it's on the same level,
No, it's a different film. I understand. I was just talking about, because we were talking about how dark the fans were, and I was like, the best scenes I've ever seen come to life.
They didn't do the red shit like they did in the Lynch Dune. Because that's the thing, is all the scenes on Arrakis and Dune are heavy duty dyed red, and then they got the night scenes on top of that most of the time. In this one, no, like I said, it seems like it's mostly natural. There's not too much. I didn't notice, at least, a lot of color grading or anything like that to kind of mess with it at all. I mean, to me, it felt like that, and I usually hate that shit. And I'll be honest with you, until something like Ghostbusters comes out, I can say this is my favorite movie of the year so far.
Oh, that's great. Everybody has their preferences. I love Michael Mann films. I love that blue filter that he uses, that kind of bluish steel. I like that. Some people
naturally
I don't mind.
And again, part of the reason I'm going so hard on Dune is because everyone else under the sun appears to be all but filleting this movie, and it's one of
I
those.
wouldn't say flating movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever.
Right, but
but I had fun. I'm
was-
willing to go see a sequel, and I'm willing to actually go to the theater and see it.
Yeah, but I just when I saw it, there was a lot of things that rubbed me the wrong way. So I figured, you know what, if I have to be the contrarian in this case to make sure that this isn't the standard bearer for blockbusters for the next 20 years, because a lot of the pretentious blowhards in Hollywood will lean hard into the Dune aesthetic just to diverge from like the colorful Marvel.
Right,
ones.
but if there was no woke in it, that would
Hollywood.
be great. That would be great for the next few years if there's no woke in it. And if everyone copied the fact
but
no woke in
they're gonna wokeify it. The thing that saved Dune from that meddling in this case, I think, is that Dune is already a large enough story that you can have your diversity without forcing the woke into it.
Right.
And let's also be honest about the source material.
Think it has a
with
lot
how
of
important the Bene Gesserit are to the Dune mythos. I don't think they need to force the female angle either, because the Bene Gesserit are basically the god queens of Arrakis, more or less.
I actually think that the woke crowd is actually going to criticize this movie, saying it's a white savior story.
They've already started that, and that's bullshit, because that's just
they don't understand
how the story goes. But goddamn it, but
they don't care.
That's not what I'm criticizing.
How the story goes or not. They're just going to say, "Oh my god, it's a white savior."
No, I know, and they've started it. But just to be clear, even though I hated this movie, I don't co-sign those criticisms at all. Those criticisms are bullshit.
Let me get some of these because he's popped off the screen. But Toxic Man Flu for $2. I like a good Gouda, Mr. Tickle Trunk. And the troll for $5 says, we can change the discussion to hair care products so CC can talk about something with authority.
Ouch. That was funny and harsh. I will say this. I want to say this much. Here's the thing, and I get where Dalton's coming from, and that is a totally fair thing to be. Like, we shouldn't just be like accepting anything just because it's halfway decent because we're just so used to garbage, right? Like, that's the last thing I want to do.
That's how I felt about not the last Godzilla movie, but the one that came out before Kong versus Godzilla.
King of the Monsters, and that's kind of where I was too, and I got you because I care for that one as much either.
And I guess I'm gonna be contrarian again because I loved King of Monsters. King of the Monsters was awesome, but then again, I like Michael Dougherty in general, and he's one of my favorite unsung directors, so maybe that's why I like.
Well, to be fair, I like the monster parts of it, but there's too many people in my monster movie.
That's the problem with the entire trilogy of those.
Right, the only reason people should be there is to be stepped on.
my whole joke,
or to look on in awe as their world is destroyed. Yeah, basically.
With Godzilla King of the Monsters, I was like, oh my god, I was so desperate for something not to be woke. It's like I know this movie's mediocre, but it was so good.
I kind of felt like that too, but I did enjoy both. I
did too, but no, I want to say about this one specifically is and now I don't know, some of us here on the panel are probably old enough. I'm sure Nina, and I don't know about you, Dalton, but the rest of us might be old enough to remember like just that feeling you would get as a kid when you knew something important was coming on TV, and it would be like tonight on the ABC.
Yeah.
I got that feeling evoked in me. I just got goosebumps thinking about it from last night watching it. Like that feeling evoked in me so many times in this movie that's where Dalton, I have such a hard time. Like with I don't know where you're getting like the soullessness of it. And all that kind of shit.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that either. But there's one thing I do want to highlight real quick from Mr. Tickle Trunk. For 5 Canadian pesos, it feels so good to listen to people talk / argue / discuss the movie instead of having to talk about how fake woke it was.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just to be clear, if we're giving it compliments for doing the basic minimum here. It's not
what I'm
woke.
trying not to do with that last comment. That was my point. Is I feel like this is above that, and you're total. I'm not trying to change your mind at all, Dalton, because obviously everybody.
I understand that I'm in the minority here. I knew I was going to be in the minority because
everybody likes what they like, and they don't like what they don't like. Like I will never like Zack Snyder's Superman, even though I'm in love with Henry Cavill.
I can't stand the Buffy series. People love and inflate the Buffy series. I can't stand it.
I like Buffy. I don't
like Buffy. Jesus Christ, man! Have you no heart?
I don't like the Buffy series. I started watching it They didn't do it.
I like Spike
Angel.
and
liked
Drusilla,
Angel.
and that's
I didn't
really
like-
it. Those are the only two characters that I thought were interesting
Well,
in the show.
how far did you get into it? Because the first couple seasons have some growing pain that gets better later on.
I liked Angel. I saw the first season.
I dated a
and I
girl
bowed
who
out.
was really into it. She made me watch it, and I was kind of bored by it.
Well, let's get Wes involved here a little bit.
Yeah.
Wes, you've been quiet this whole time. So, are you a fan of the Lynch version? Have you ever read the book? What is your takeaways from just hearing us all kind of the discourse here we got with this going on right now?
I've not read the books, but I did see the Lynch version. There's multiple Lynch versions. I've seen them all, and I enjoyed it. It was different. It was funky. I liked the score. I liked the cinematography. It was a little bit over the top with the villains, but I enjoyed that. You had the Harkonnens were just like really sleazy and slimy.
Yeah, they were. That was great.
Yep.
And it was great, and it was very well cast, and you even had Sir Patrick Stewart in there before he unfortunately went Joe Biden,
before Picard.
or before he went, let's go Brandon, but
Let's go,
Yeah, well,
had to get it in there. But yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. The part where it's a classic hero's journey. He starts out as a person of privilege, and he has setbacks, and he experiences that growth, and then. The part where his mother becomes like a reverend mother, and the little girl's already born with those
blue
those
eyes
powers. And the blue within blue, is which as a kid, as a kid, your eyes are blue within blue. I would get those comments, so that was kind of weird.
The other thing I liked about this is that you actually do get to see Paul go on a bit of a hero's journey as well, because he starts off very unsure of himself, and his confidence builds more and more as the movie goes on, which was good to actually see.
I want to see how Duncan.
Well, what I liked about the Lynch version was that he was very sure of himself, I thought, at the start, and he gets his ass kicked, and he has those setbacks, and that's what I liked.
All I want to know is one thing: is there a "Long Live the Fighter" scene? That's just what I want to know.
Not really.
No, not that I saw.
Not the Tom.
Is there
no.
You know what?
I just want to know. Go ahead.
No, we do have a lore and a historian and a person of actual knowledge that's actually hanging out with us in the chat, I think.
I know. I asked if I can send her the link, but
send who?
Elaine.
Nerd Cookies.
Sure. While you're doing that, let me get to some of the super chats here. So, Ruben Christopher Haynes for $5, one of two. I am classically trained composer and musician. Sadly, right now, film music is an electronic phase and the temp music.
Wow. You're not wrong, Christopher.
Yeah, it's
I'm actually
Ruben.
I actually like electronic music, so it doesn't bother me. So he follows up with another $5. Just like CGI, it will reach a tipping point and orchestra music will return. We just need to let the filmmakers know this with our patronage.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because Andre and I just did a video on talking, bouncing off the music or lack thereof in Dune, and there was one bit that got cut out, and one bit that got cut out because it was not as relevant to what we were talking about, but it's still relevant to the whole idea of a score, and that is a lot of directors have gotten attached to their temp scores, so a lot of these composers will just do that. They won't try to come up with something different. They'll just do that. And then the other problem is a lot of times they'll use temp scores from the same composer's other films. So they'll just end up plagiarizing themselves.
Like with Doctor Strange 2016, I swear to God, Michael Giacchino just reused his Star Trek Beyond theme. And you can listen to them back to back. There are compilations on YouTube. Somebody do that and tell me that apart from the sitar, which he did add, are they substantively different at all? Because I swear to God, not.
They're probably not. And in some cases, they actually use the same music, like the actual same. And this is not a brand new practice. They used to do it back in the day to save on time and money. But at least in recent years, up until more recent years, they would at least try to evoke the same idea, but not the same exact thing. There have been composers that have been sued for basically plagiarizing other composers' music because they'll basically do the same thing as the temp track. Like, this is not an uncommon thing now. It's becoming more and more of a problem. And it's just because you don't have the composers like Danny Elfman or John Williams or Jerry Goldsmith or Alan Silvestri or all these guys who used to be able to do what they did with their magic back then, and they're just not the same.
Sadly, I feel like it's a bit of a dying art.
It is.
Well,
it very much is.
It is, and here's the thing. I mean, I mean, these guys that Tom was talking about, they could put together a scratch track that they could play, and then they would direct full orchestras, around what they had already previously designed, so they could give you a look and feel for what you were seeing, in as an audio file, and then by the time you got to the end of the film, you were like, this is incredible, because the soundtrack that they wove around it. Danny Elfman still can do it. Obviously, John Williams, his assistant, Tom. What's the name of Williams' assistant? Because he's probably going to be the last.
I can't remember the guy's name, but isn't he the guy handling all the Star Wars music now? Anyway,
yeah.
I can't remember his name.
He does the bulk of the work. And
if Six is in the chat, she should remember his name.
Yeah,
probably.
Six will know it. But it's just it's this thing. It's like it's there's not a lot of these people, right? And they have to like nurture the next generation, or we're effed.
Yeah,
it sucks.
What on the topic of music? When did it become acceptable for movie themes to just not even try to be catchy? Like, am I the only one noticing this? Because
no, you're not. You're not wrong.
Because like the last genuinely like catchy, the last catchy theme that I remember is there's a couple of them, but the one that always sticks in my head is the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes theme is really catchy, and that's the last one that I can genuinely remember, like sitting there and literally.
I don't remember that one at all.
I try to remember which movie did this, but they actually stole the music, or I wouldn't say they stole, but they took the music from Mass Effect, the actual Mass Effect theme, and they used that in a trailer.
Oh, that's not abnormal either.
No, it's not.
No, like the last one that I could actually hum right now, like if you asked me to hum the newest theme, it would end up being the Avengers theme.
Yeah,
that's the only one I can
remember.
remember.
That's about the last great one is the
theme for me is the Mass Effect theme. That is such a the scoring on that game is amazing.
Well, and games do have grand scores. That's the thing, is it seems like a lot of the good
but movies and shows apparently for some reason just don't bother anymore.
Not really.
Yep. All right, guys. Let me get over to Ko-Fi for Ella Gabulus for $6, and he says, "Comics. I'm certainly not the first to say this, but you have the best learning disability, dyslexia." Hail!
Awesome.
Yeah, it just makes me feel dumb sometimes, but yeah, it's fine. Also, Mr. Grant Gregory for $2.18. He says, "Rest in peace." Oh God, let me see if I can get this name right. Helania Hutchins. Dune was visually appealing, captured the beauty and the harshness of a desert planet. The score was, in my honest opinion, one of the worst I have heard. The acting surprised me, and for the most part, I believe the role and motivation of them all. Yeah, same here, man. It's like a lot of that stuff I bought into the characterization. Also, Mr. Grant Gregory for another 169. He says, "No offense to Mr. Dalton. It seems like he is more upset that the Dune movie he had in his mind didn't match up with the one on the screen. When using words to degrade the film without giving proper context, it makes it appear that way."
Well, no, it's you're not far from the mark, but my problems are conceptual. It like I was saying, it's not what it's adapting that I have an issue with. It's how it's choosing to the conceptual aspects of this movie are what I take such an issue with. And I think it might just be that I hate Denis Villeneuve's aesthetics so much. Because here's the thing. We live in a time where CGI can just about do literally anything it is possible for a person to imagine. And when you can do literally anything that you can imagine, it's very important that your imagination works properly. And that's why it really annoys me when I see big budget spectacle movies, alleged spectacle movies, that don't bother to be conceptually interesting, that don't bother to be visually compelling, that don't bother to be risk-taking or metaphysical in any meaningful way.
When you say something like visually, like they're not, like it's not visually compelling, I don't even think we watched the same movie, because I'm like, this movie was
there's only so many times you can see
compelling.
brown and gray in a field before it's just like, okay, we're doing this again. We're doing and I had the same problem when they de-gadgeted or pulped James Bond when the Daniel Craig series started. It's like, you're taking something that is rooted in weird and you're de-weirding it, and that bothers me.
There was a lot of things I thought was weird. It's like the starship design. I thought was actually pretty interesting, despite it was very basic and very simple. It's just it's not what we're used to with starships. And I thought
I love the Onocopters, and I love
with the dragonflies,
the designs of the ships.
What
and
I
everything.
thought about the Onocopters, and I thought they were actually pretty cool because they look like
and honestly, I'll tell you what, I fucking hate CGI. Anybody who's listening,
I hate CGI.
It's done very well in this movie. I couldn't tell, but I was watching on a small screen.
I knew it was, but at the same time, there's a lot of scenes and shots where it's just like, even though I know that's CGI, it does not feel like it, and it actually felt like it had some weight. It actually felt like it was married to whatever they were doing, and it felt real. Especially the Onocopters. There's that crash scene that you almost get dizzy between the sounds and the visuals.
Wow.
And I didn't want, I would love to see this in 3D. I bet it looks amazing.
I read that he used a lot of models. I read he used a lot of models, though. He didn't do full CG, so that would probably.
Elaine is here. Yeah, ding dong, girl.
Now we've got somebody who knows.
Hi.
Hello.
I know where all my avatars are gone, but at least this one works.
Yes, it fits perfectly for our discussion right now.
Yeah. Well, thanks for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to hear what you think. Tell us, did you like it?
Yeah, it's I just got home basically, so yeah, it's I'm still processing it, but yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. It was
good.
It's so amazing to be immersed into this really intricate and grand, complex universe, and I feel like Denny really did a good job of doing that. It's so complex, and so there's so many things going on. But I think he did a decent job at presenting the overall themes and ideas and institutions. So, some things I wish and characters I wish were a little bit more fleshed out, but overall, yes, I really did enjoy it.
Well, good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing too, Elaine, especially with some of the characters being more fleshed out. But it was already like a 2.5 hour long movie.
Yeah,
There's
it didn't feel like a 2.5 hour movie either. In my
opinion, it didn't feel
well.
like
It's basically Act One, so
in a 2.5 hour time period. But where like with No Time to Die, I was like, is this movie over yet? I mean, that felt like a 2.5
every 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
it did
like
not
constantly
feel
checking
like
my watch, wondering when the movie's gonna freaking end. This wasn't so much. Granted, it was broken up by my workday, but
I watched it in one sitting, and I was like, oh my god, they're not gonna have time to finish it. And then I was like, wait, I knew they weren't gonna finish it. This sucks. It was so good.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully to have a director's cut.
There were things I wondered if they did shoot, because I remember seeing things from the trailers and tons of other footage that was released that wasn't in the film.
But they do that a lot with trailers. Where
they do.
Yeah, all the time, where there's some great scenes and then you get to the film and they're not there.
Maybe they'll end up using it in the sequel.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Well, there was a scene where a still of Liette, Sharon Duncan Brewster's character, and she's in like this a nice garb, like a dress kind of, and I thought that would be the banquet scene. But yeah, they didn't use, I don't know what that footage was for.
Well, and I know what Andre was saying, like there's a lot of stuff that was in the script that didn't wind up in the movie. And some of it was like
time constraints.
It probably was, and the other part of it was he said it was more scenes that were like expository. So it was probably stuff you didn't necessarily need. It was probably overkill.
So like for a director's cut.
Probably, and that's the question we were talking about earlier too, is will there even be one? Because Denny's one of those directors where he's probably powerful enough he doesn't have to worry about it, but at the same time, this movie was under 2.5 hours, and Warner Brothers is notorious for
cutting
having
things to the bone.
Yes, for having a deal where you cannot have a movie longer than 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on what it is. Like they're pretty cutthroat on that.
I think there's certain movies that I would be fine with them being longer, but most of the time I think the studio is right. They shouldn't go over 2.5
depending
hours.
on your picking your poison on that one.
So,
I mean,
that
that's
one of the
basically
reasons-
what butchered the DC extended universe was Warner Brothers deciding, nope, like the last half hour of this movie has to be cut out because we can't justify it for some reason.
I think most like adaptation of books, I'm fine with those movies being longer because it's really difficult to adapt.
Because you're translating 300 pages worth of story
look at
into
the Harry
2
Potter
hours.
movies, and look if you've read the books, you know they cut out so much stuff. But
And
the movies were still
usually
good.
the best shit too, which is annoying.
Yeah.
It's always, not only is it annoying that they cut shit out at all, but they always cut out the best shit.
Yeah. All right, 16-bit mascot for $5. Hey guys, love your show. Hail Dix Division. Hail Culture Casino. And hail Nina Infinity.
Hi.
I'm looking forward to watching Dune.
Hey, 16-bit. Can I just like one more thing before I ask Elaine what she thought of the music? So, like, for the music, I will say this: I would have liked kind of like an orchestra style thing too. Like, it's not like there isn't improvements that I would have liked within the movie, but I think that it, like, overall, what he attempted to do worked for this versus every other time that I've seen it not work, like in Interstellar and in Tenet, and like, you know, I've seen those random projects. Oh my god,
And Gravity and
so
Blade Runner 2049 and God knows what else.
There's been some movies where it just didn't work, and in this one it finally clicked, and I was like, okay, I get what they're trying to do, and in this one it worked, so it makes sense. But I would have liked a thematic theme as well, like to it, so that you know, like, oh, this is Dune. Like when Dune's starting, you know, this is it. And I guess like it's gonna be known for that kind of like yelling music now, like the like, and that's gonna be like the thing it's known for. And I don't know if like that, like I think that it could have been better, but then again, I don't hate it. So what'd you think,
we have somebody in the chat. Frontman242. Sorry, Dune sucked nuts. You have one in your corner, Dalton.
Thank God. I was beginning to worry. Am I the heretic in this stream? Like, Jesus Christ.
I have seen a few people who didn't like. And here's the thing: is this is different from certain situations where I'll even kind of stick up for Dalton a little bit on the whole. It's not the movie you had in your head, which that's almost a fair thing with a movie like this because it's based on a book that's 50 years old. We've had other adaptations, and if you're somebody who's a fan and you've read the book, you're clearly going to go into it with some kind of like preconceived
I get
notion.
that. That's how it was,
and that's why I can't really, be a dick to him about it. But yeah,
it's the biggest problem I think is where the focus is placed. For me, because like Dune is one of those, and anyone who knows me knows that I absolutely go gaga for cosmic, weird, mystical, metaphysical, high concept, philosophical stuff. And Dune has so much of that, so much weird, so much wonderful, wacky, just I don't know what the hell I'm watching. And none of it's here. And I'm just like, but that's what I go to Dune for, is the weird, and you're not giving me the weird. What the hell?
Sometimes I wonder if maybe that stuff just won't play with normies, though.
And I also wonder if you don't have the whole thing that kind of went along with it when it first came out, because it kind of got sucked up into the drug culture, even though that was part of it. It wasn't as big of what the deal they made it to be, right? Like that was not Herbert's initial intentions with it, even though it did have that aspect of it. Like it got really like adopted by the hippie culture of the time, like big time.
But you know, there's something to be said for playing to the spirit of something almost as much as the text. Like,
I think that's a fair if it's born out of it, but I don't know if that's an argument to be made against this film, though. I don't know if that's fair.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you guys off real quick because I know that we asked Elaine a question.
Yeah, we did. She's never biting at the chip,
Yeah,
chomping at the
thank you.
bit. I'm so sorry, Elaine.
What was the question? Sorry.
I asked what you thought about
the music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very, very unusual. I actually think it's not something that I would just listen to, like not like Howard Shore, the
Yeah, exactly.
Lord of the Rings, or Tron Legacy, a soundtrack that I could just put on, listen at any time. It's meant to be accompanied with this strange, unusual story.
Mhm.
So in that way, I think it fit well. And it was odd that there were moments where there were moments of silence.
Yeah.
And I thought that was unusual too, that they were just letting the silence, just hang there. And then the music would just kind of come in and kind of startle you at times. It'd be a little unsettling and kind of, but I think that's what they
Was it
were
intentional?
going with.
Yes,
I think it matches the tone of the novel, and I think we're kind of going along with Paul's journey and I think they really did make that the focus was the main character of Paul.
Mhm.
He's in a lot of it, so much so that I wish some of some scenes were devoted to the other minor characters, but they really knew there's just so much turmoil going on and what's happening to him, and just being thrust with this enormous destiny, and just the weight of it is unsettling. And so I think the music did match the tone. But again, it's not something that I would just sit down and listen to. So I like it in conjunction with the film itself and the story.
Good.
Yeah.
I know that Frontman 242 says that Paul is a skinny soy boy. Hell no. And I thought the same thing, but apparently that's how he is in the book.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
No, that's
Yes.
that's Paul. Yeah, that's just who Paul is. And honestly, if we're
He's
allowed
supposed to be
complete
small for his
sidebars
age,
here,
too.
if we're allowed complete sidebars here, he looks more like Dream of the Endless in this than the guy they got to play Dream of the Endless in the upcoming Netflix Sandman thing. So that also kind of bothered me of like, why isn't this guy playing Dream here?
Timothée Chalamet actually did impress me quite a bit in this film.
Yeah, you
Like-
said that earlier.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
do not even taking anything away from the original actor either, because like I do love that actor as well. But like this was a
McLaughlin.
different McLaughlin. Yeah, I keep forgetting his name, but fucking he knocked it out of the park, at least in the sense that it was like, okay, I had this preconceived notion because of McLaughlin. When I went into this one though, and I wasn't expecting shit out of this kid because I have really zero reference. And again, like most people say, just looking at him and all the interviews and stuff that he's been in, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, when I saw him in the trailer, I was like, dude, this is Paul?
Did he have
Like,
presents? Well,
like, I don't know,
Yeah, but
Did he have
I
presents?
thought that he did really well.
He
Like
did.
with
I
regards
thought so
to
too.
with regards to the book material
Yeah.
too. Like I think this was way more accurate portrayal.
Well, he
than the
portrays
other
the
one.
inner struggle on top of the other parts, right? Like, because he has a reason to physically strive to want to be better because he's not bigger. He's not as, and they even
Well, he's
joke
supposed
with
to
him
be a
about it.
teen, yeah, because
Well,
the
and they,
original
like-
Dune, they didn't do that. They had
Well, not just
McLaughlin
that.
was older.
But he is supposed to be smaller than
He
and
was
that's-
a much smaller build and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Like everything about him.
So
was
that is
much
accurate
smaller.
compared to like all the other people that are around him. So that's why you got guys like Jason Momoa and shit like that around him, because it makes him look.
By the
even-
way, can I
Because
just
when
take
Jason Momoa was standing next to you,
Yeah.
everyone looked way
Can I
fishy.
just
Well, right,
take a
right.
moment here to appreciate with Elaine the sexiness that is Jason Momoa in this movie? How great was he, Elaine? We got to see
Yeah.
like shaved, clean face, and we got to see with beard. I was
Yeah,
like,
all Jason Momoa's we got to see.
We got to see it
I,
all.
as the gay guy on this panel, I will co-sign that Jason Momoa is
There
cute.
we go. There we see. We can find stuff.
Here's
to
the problem
agree
with
on.
Jason Momoa. He doesn't even have to say badass, but the moment he comes on screen, it's still you just hear it in your head. So
Yeah,
he just goes badass. It's just like
it's like kind of with The Rock. It's like I already know this character because he only like Jason Momoa
It's
is one of
Jason
those
Momoa
actors who
playing-
plays Jason Momoa in every
playing Jason
like he
Momoa,
plays
that's for
himself
sure.
in every movie he's in, and it's fine.
and it fits.
I mean,
as
he was
Duncan,
even
so-
good in Stargate Atlantis. I mean, he had a pretty good same character, Jason
Yeah, it's
Momoa.
exactly the same character. But I'm
It-
kind of
yeah,
fine
again,
with that.
The Rock,
If
Will
it's-
Smith. He's that kind of actor who
Yeah.
he plays the same character in every movie he's in, but you're still happy to see him no matter what he's in.
Well,
So,
as
yeah.
long as he's cast in the proper part, it's not a big deal, right? Because it'd be like casting him to play Shakespeare in a Shakespeare
Yeah.
play. It's like
Well,
I don't
that's what
mind
I loved about this
What?
film. And I want to hear Elaine what she felt about if she felt that they actually pulled it off. Like, because I thought like it was pretty well cast. I mean, the only one we didn't really get anything out of as far as like where I feel like we can generally really judge them is Zendaya.
Even Bitch Boy Batista did a decent job.
Because
who was
Zendaya is
Duncan?
literally
Who
only in
played
like 2
Duncan?
minutes.
Who played Duncan Idaho? That's
Duncan Idaho was Momoa.
Yeah, that's
that
Jason
was
Momoa.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I loved him as Duncan, and then you had Brolin as Gurney. And he was really good. The only one that didn't really, I think, that was probably I would actually, who was what's his face who played the doctor,
Chang Chen.
that guy.
yeah, like he didn't have the same like presence.
because Dean
That
in
he
the
needed
first
to
one.
have.
Yeah, again, the
Dean
minor
Stockwell
characters
did a great job.
Yeah. I will say though, I was sorry, I'm sorry. I thought I was hearing myself. For someone whose favorite character is Duncan Idaho, I was really impressed. And even in previous adaptations, his character has always been kind of diminished and pushed to the side. But he has an integral piece of the story, a part of the story, especially in relations to the Fremen and his relationship with Paul. So I was really worried that it was going to be, just the same old. So that is one thing that I will cherish, that we finally get Duncan Idaho gets his just deserves, what his character deserves.
I loved that scene. It was so good and heart wrenching.
I cried.
This is the thing. I did too. I was on the brink, girl. Here's the thing. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is one of those movies. Like, I don't know which one of you guys on the panel said it. I think it was you, Tom. That like, what gets you excited, like for something coming up that like you would watch on TV back in the day, like coming up next kind of thing. I had this feeling about Dune at the end. Like, I want to see the next part. Like, I'm like, where is the next part? Why isn't it here now so I can watch it? It's just like, and I haven't had that for a long time. Like, I'm not looking forward to anything that's coming from Marvel. I'm not looking forward to anything that's come from DC. Star Wars is dead to me. I have literally nothing to look forward to when it comes to franchises, and now I have one, and I love that. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like I'm
happy. I'm happy for you, because right now I'm in the nearly black pilled phase of like every time they touch something that I love, they ruin it. Like with
I'm not winning with Uncharted right now.
Yeah, with the recent Netflix Sandman trailer, I was just like, you had one job. Why could
bro? I get that too, because I'm a Cowboy Bebop fan, and look what they're doing to that show. That's
God.
I like the original. Yeah, I know. I'm waiting. I like the original anime, not the trailer. That was.
I don't know.
That's what I did. Is I tweeted out saying, "Watch the anime. It's better."
Yeah, it is
this
better.
Stuff is fake. It's fake Bebop.
But Elaine, are you excited for like the next one? Are you like, yes, let's go? This is
yeah, I want to see the full story. Of Dune, and it's just a shame. And I knew this from the beginning when they announced they were going to split it up into 2 parts, and that they weren't going to film it at the same time, which is disappointing. But to really get do justice to the novel, he needed to split it up anyways, and hopefully we'll get a trilogy if that's the case, which I think would be really nice to cap it off.
Big ass book that does seem like something they could split into 3 movies.
Oh
not the Hobbit, but definitely Dune.
Dune is
freaking thick.
Massive.
Mm-hmm. I feel like they could have made this 3 hours, and I really wish they would have built up the Harkonnens a little bit more.
I agree. I think that was one of the things that was missing a little bit, was the Harkonnen, like getting to know them more and like seeing them more of a like how crazy they are. Like, they were mentioned in the beginning, like when the guy was like, these guys can be really crazy, they're savage, and like the way they fight and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I want to see that. Like, I want to see them be trained. I want to see what it's like on their planet and how they they raise their children to conform, and like the way that they're just like their society works and everything like that. I mean, same thing with like Lady Jessica's like her planet and her society and her like all that stuff. I want to see more.
The Bene Gesserits.
And also, man, Frontman 242, you were killing it with the comments. You're making me laugh. He says cinematic terrorism.
Oh my god,
because he does
he
not
really
like this
hates
movie.
Okay, I'm the contrarian who didn't like it, and I think it's that's going a little bit far. The only good thing about
he's apparently a diehard Dune fan, and as he said previously, he picked the books apart and apparently knows a lot about them. So, like I said, as somebody who's never read the books and only seen the cinematic adaptations, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I read the books. Yeah, I read the books too, so I get where you're coming from.
Oh gosh. Well, I've definitely read the first book like 20 times just in recent years, but at least before I had to do research for the channel, 3 times I think. I read it first when I was 13 years old, and then again probably when I was like 18, 19 or something. And it's one of those books that you learn more as you reread it, and that's how he intended it to be. So and that's how the movie should be too. Like, I feel like I'm still processing too. I feel like I need to watch this a few more times just to kind of get all the, I'm sure there were things that I missed. There was a lot of details. And I'm sure a lot that maybe normies missed too, because there was just so many little things in there as well. Nice little touches that fans would recognize. But yeah, it's
well, it sounds like a layered film. It sounds
Yeah,
like a layered film. That's good. It sounds like a layered film. That's good. So you can have rewatchability.
Oh yeah. Oh
These
yes.
are all
I
good
think the
recommendations.
rewatchability is there for sure. A lot.
I've been excited to see Duncan because he's always in the books, because he dies and comes back and they keep bringing him back. So it's good that they
yeah. One thing I will say that they did a really good job of was conveying the warfare and the shields and how they fight. So someone commented on one of my videos and said they didn't like how they did that. I guess it wasn't accurate, but I thought it was actually really accurate. So I don't know what they were talking about specifically, but they showed how they had to enter things slow. Their whole warfare has had to adapt to shield technology.
Right.
So, and I thought they did a good job of contributing to that.
Here we are in the future. They have shields and they're still using swords. I thought that was kind of interesting.
But the way Duncan was fighting, you could tell you could tell that he would get into the position to where he'd have to slowly attack with the knife, to do the killing blow, and just little things like that. I thought they were really accurate.
Elaine, have you read all of the books, the whole thing?
All of Frank Herbert's and just a few of the extra Brian Herbert stuff.
Okay.
So which would you
I'm
think?
not a big fan of Brian Herbert's. I'm sorry.
Elaine, which would you think is better, the original Dune with the shields or this one? Which is closer to the books? Because I haven't seen this one. I'm going to see it later tonight.
The David Lynch version, which?
The David Lynch version.
I think they both kind of conveyed the same concept about fast on defense, slow on attack. That was the main concept, that you can't just go and attack someone. Their whole fighting ability has been adapted around shield technology, which can only be penetrated by objects at a certain pace or a certain speed. So that's why they use melee weapons. That's why they use darts that have, once they hit a shield, slowly make their way in to penetrate the shield. So I think David Lynch did that, portrayed that, but not limited by the technology.
Right.
So this one obviously has the technology at their disposal to convey that more accurately. But I think also with the melee scenes, specifically with Duncan, I think they did a good job of portraying that. I
thought it was good. And yes, Godzillionaire, I'm aware of the reason why they don't use computers in the world, because they basically had their own Terminator style war. And that's the reason why they have the Navigators Guild, and that's the reason why they use the spies. I gotta get some super chats because they've really built up. Anyone speak Spanish? Because I can't read this.
It's Latin.
Is it Latin?
He watches the Watchers. Oh,
okay.
Qui custodiet ipsos custodes.
Okay, I thought it was Spanish, but yes.
Yeah,
Latin.
I was like, dude, that is not Spanish. I did a double take on that, and then James was like, that's not Spanish.
It's Latin.
That is not Spanish.
It's a romance language, damn it. Anyway, MJ Cruz for 50 Filipino pesos. Hail all. George!
Hello, Wes. How you doing?
He's got a beautiful soul.
Thank you.
And it sucks because it jumped and I'm not going to be able to get all of them like I was hoping. Anyway, let me scroll up and find where it last left off. This is going to take a second here. There we go. Okay.
Beautiful soul. Sorry.
Motorlicious for $2. Frank Herbert's
You do it much better than I do.
Piss poor graphics Dune. Mr. Tickle Trunk for 5 Canadian pesos. Wes put Brie on the screen and made me stop. Cheese and it says full moon face.
Was it this?
No, Bigfoot Brie. Come on.
Yes, that was the one. Eric K for $5. Do
Don't
not tell
do not
anyone. Comics in Vegas said Twilight was his favorite trilogy. Facts. I did tell him that.
What?
But I was
You're
lying.
a theatrical posters as
No,
well.
I fucking hate Twilight. That's why he said that.
He sarcasm.
I went crazy for a second because Jane told me she's a Twihard, and I was like freaking out.
Well, you know, it's like it's one of those things that if you deny it, you're like, oh my god, it's like I hate Twilight. It's like, no, you love it, buddy. It's like everyone jumps on it, so you gotta roll with the punches, right?
Yeah, but she's a girl, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm
Troll
a
for
girl and I hate
$5. Gotta watch it with the woman this weekend. Should I be drunk, stoned, or sober?
Don't just make it more interesting.
three.
But it won't give you anything to work with.
Can you be all three?
All of the above?
Are you driving?
Yeah, are you driving? If not,
Yeah, are you
the
driving?
question.
That's a good question. Yeah.
I would say my answer to that is watch it in all 3 states.
Yeah.
I would start off
There you
sober, then stoned, and then go to drunk.
yeah.
Then
There you go.
try to
Get a little
create
crossfade going.
try to create using CGI what you see when you're stoned, and then send it to me so I can see what this movie probably should have been.
Motorlicious for 2 American pesos. Stargate
See it in
SG-1
IMAX.
and Sky Captain and The World Tomorrow, same theme.
It sounds like you wanted to watch this movie on acid. Like you're like, okay, let's get some acid going here.
It should have been an acid trip movie. What do you want?
The longest movie I've ever watched was the original Ghost in the Shell movie while smoking pot. It felt like it never ended.
What?
Mainly because of
Really?
that droning melodic music, yeah. And I love that
Oh,
movie, by the way. It's
I
just,
love that movie so much.
just don't watch it when you're stoned.
I've
Eric-
watched it when I was stoned like several times. And it's been amazing.
Eric K for $5. I
Nice.
used to live overseas in the desert. Everything is brown. Buildings, land, everything.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Toxic Man
Agreed.
Flu for $20. I am really getting tired of these healthy discourse among 8 different people with different opinions on a film. Can we go back to complaining about how woke a film is, please? Maybe someone will start a.
I have no opinion
Brandon
because I
fan.
haven't seen it.
We have to
waiting
enjoy
to
these
see it.
moments while we have them. They don't come
I
around.
know. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited about this movie. I'm like, we can actually talk about stuff that's about the movie, like how good or bad the music is, not like how
Woke it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody
exactly.
told Paul to do better. Like, okay.
God.
Which, to be fair, they could have easily done by making the Bene Gesserit space Jesus, basically.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
they didn't, and that deserves some praise, because if there was ever a case for matriarchy, you could have easily turned the Bene Gesserit into that, and they didn't.
You
So-
could have
Yes,
very
you
easily
could have
done that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they could have done more actually. There was a lot of as far as scenes that I wish were in there. I don't know, but it's just
Oh yeah, I
it
like
just
the
comes
Bene
with
Gesserit.
territory.
It's just I'm grateful that they didn't turn them into, the avatars of feminism, or talk about how the Bene Gesserit were oppressed somehow. Though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they did really good at. Obviously, there's so much more, but they did a good job at hinting
Well,
about
but
what
it's
they
also
do.
the first in a trilogy, so maybe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Charlotte Rampling, ooh, she was good. She was
Really?
good as a Reverend Mother.
Yeah,
I,
and
you know, that's
maybe-
one of the scenes that I thought that the Lynch version did better in a way.
Yeah, the pain scene.
The pain scene. I thought that they could have done more with the pain scene.
The voice was good.
The
was
voice
made
was
it distinct.
great.
Yeah, and I thought they did a good job at making it distinct and still,
Did Did the
Effective.
actress playing the Reverend Mother remind anyone else of, or the woman in the pain scene remind anyone else of James McAvoy? Because I've seen it in the movie when I pirated the movie, and I also saw it in the trailers. Like that during that pain scene, it reminded me of when James McAvoy was playing Patricia
Split?
in the Split and Glass.
Well, it's funny you say that because he does play Leto the Second in Children of Dune.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if you want to know what happens next, there is a sequel series for Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. If you can't wait,
I can't wait, Elaine. What do I
and
do?
Children of Dune, I really like that miniseries. I think I might like it a little
I
more
liked
than
it
the first one.
It was good. Danny Graham in the chat. What's up, comics and the rest of the panel? We're just doing some Dune talk right now. 16-bet mascot for $2. Super awesome bonus monies because nerd cookies.
Yay, nerd!
Oh, yay!
cookies.
Whoa.
Storyman Jack for $5. I know where you can hear some pretty mediocre horror stories this Halloween. I mean, for free even.
Would that be on Storyman Jack's channel?
Possibly. That would be my guess.
I'm writing mediocre stories right now too.
Yeah, I feel bad for Wes because he didn't see the movie and he's feeling kind of left out. But we'll be switching topics in a second. That's Seventies Rock Fan for 5 Canadian pesos. I fell asleep during Tenet, and when I woke up, the movie was almost back at the start again.
Yeah.
I think that's how that movie works, isn't it?
I didn't even get that far.
It
About
does.
40 minutes in, I got to the bit where they're at the restaurant and the wife is like talking about shit, and I'm just like, I don't care. Like, why am I supposed to care?
If you fell asleep, and you, you're like, oh, I'm right here where we started.
I just shut it off. I'm like, I paid $40 for this Blu-ray, and I don't even want to finish watching it.
Well, it's the problem. It's the problem with Christopher Nolan. Every movie he makes is like, this is a really like technically proficient movie, but am I supposed to care?
I would say every movie.
Of all of his films, the only two that I really dislike or don't really care for all that much is Interstellar and shit. I just forgot.
I loved Interstellar.
I actually liked Interstellar.
I hate the end of Interstellar. I like everything but the ending. And then the other one I can't really stand that much is shit. What the hell one was it?
Tenet, because that one sucked.
Well, besides that, I guess
Inception.
No, I love Inception.
I think Inception's his best one.
As I say, that's probably his best movie.
Oh no! Watch Satoshi Kon's Paprika. That's what that movie probably should have been.
I've seen.
I think I would have liked Tenet more if the sound was better. I just couldn't understand most of the time what they were saying, and that's what you need. You need to understand what they're saying.
Yep, same here.
I can't hear you. The audio, the background score, or whatever the fuck you're calling it, is so goddamn loud. I can't hear people speak.
I don't hear my own thoughts. What is my character motivation?
I can't even hear myself think. It's so terrible. Anyway, Rough Girl for $49.99.
Wow,
Supporting
thank you.
Because that's what I do. She has a parachute and a hand wave. Us YouTube is sensitive around.
I think that's the
YouTube.
American flag emoji when it says US like that.
Oh, okay. That's what that's supposed to be. It says YouTube is sensitive about Trump, I reckon.
I think so.
Yeah. Let's see. Gazillionaire for $2. Why didn't Thanos just snap in Dune? Such BS.
Speaking of Godzillionaire, you're right, Godzillionaire. Inception is a ripoff of Paprika, with one exception. Without the color or any reason to give a shit.
Okay, Toxic Man Flu for $5. Comics. What I'm getting is I should wear my electronic ear protection in the theater so I can only pick up voices and not the music.
Well, there really is no music. You can't tell what is really music most of the time. This
is great because I love Mr. Tickle Trunk. This is funny. For 2 Canadian pesos, how many Chun-Lis were in Dune? Asking for a rag.
2.
Yeah. Really? No, there was only one.
One
Chun-Li.
Okay, there was that. Oh God, I don't remember what rag wrote it, but basically they were talking about Mortal Kombat and they're complaining about how Chun-Li wasn't in the movie, and it's like wrong fucking franchise, dumbass.
Gods, what?
That's
well, the
the
humor
joke.
of that is how did that get past like
The
so many
editing.
people
The-
to get?
Yeah.
Has anybody else noticed that these geek websites really either they have really lazy editors or they just don't have them half the time at all?
They don't
'Cause
have
it-
editors, I'm pretty sure.
My new favorite one was an article that Comics was going to bring up if you wanted to get into that one next, and that was how they were attacking Halloween Kills for being transphobic or homophobic,
Oh God.
What?
and how Chucky is an ally.
Oh God, I know.
What?
Oh,
Which
God,
spawned
I
my
saw
tweet
that.
of cancer's homophobic, but heart disease is an ally.
Oh my God.
Anyway, let me get this from one
before
rough
we
girl for real
move
quick.
on from like Dune, though, I feel like culture. You wanted Elaine here. Do you have anything to ask
sorry.
before? I feel like culture
No.
just went really
Aw.
quiet when Elaine joined.
No. I love Elaine, and she has a lot to say. This
Aw.
is so she and I align on stuff because we like Frank Herbert, and she and I align on a lot of things. And I love her channel, and I love what she says on her channel. I love her videos. I love her live streams. I love what she does with.
Why do I feel a big
movies.
butt coming?
I know,
That's what I
right?
was thinking.
Yeah, this is like wow.
The
you're
however
such a
is lingering
bitch.
in the air. Yes.
But she's a huge bitch, and I hate
No.
her thing.
She's going to have me on her stream after I've seen the movie multiple times, and we'll talk about it. Because here's the thing. This is the thing. Aside from my amazing hair, the thing is that I am concerned because I've been such a huge fan for a very long time, and as much as Lynch has gotten just so much of the craptasticness of criticism, I really feel like so far in my 15-ish minutes that I've seen of the film so far, I don't know.
Just watch the rest of the movie and then
Sound
come
like
on.
the
with your
alien
own
in the
conclusion.
beginning.
Actually, there were several things that kind of reminded me of Lynch, of Lynchian Dune. So I don't know if that was intentional, but there
I
were
picked up
several
on a few, and
things
yes,
in there that
Denny did
reminded me.
say that he did have some influence from that.
But Elaine,
He did.
know where I'm coming from because of where you and I are at. So
Yeah,
it's
I don't think that. So yeah, I have I have a love hate. I wouldn't say a hate thing, but love kind of dislike relationship with David Lynch's Dune. But that's just solely because of the book itself and adapting it, and just this is just several things that weren't in line there. But there are things that I really enjoyed. The performances that were great. Patrick Stewart, Kyle MacLachlan, they're just iconic. So I think it just comes with any adaptation.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Kyle MacLachlan did a better version of Paul, or do you think that this guy did a better version?
Well, when it comes to faithfulness to the source material, I have to go with this one because it is more faithful with it. What Lynch was trying to do was more of like was more embracing the Messiah aspect of it, but he wasn't really like this deity kind of thing. But they really leaned into that, especially like towards the end, after the fight with Faye, the climax and everything. So he really took that in a literal sense, as far as the religious aspect of who Muad'Dib was. And that was just his artistic interpretation. I feel like he took that, and it's Frank Herbert was approved. I guess he was fine with how he saw that and interpreted it. So he just really leaned into that. But as far as like accuracy to the source material and what Frank Herbert wrote, they really were more faithful to the fact that this is a manufactured Messiah. These are things that were seeded on this planet that they took advantage of, that Jessica and Paul took advantage of out of necessity. So I feel like as far as those more intricate things of what's going on with the Kwisatz Haderach and what is going on with the Missionaria Protectiva is more faithful. So in that sense, yes, I'd have to say. But I know I'm kind of like saying both versions have their are good in what they presented.
Yeah, no, I
understand that.
I get that.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna shift topics. We're gonna go from. I want to get this from Rough Girl real
I love
quick
you,
for
culture.
$1.99.
Don't eat me.
It's a super sticker with a woman wearing heart-shaped glasses and shaking them back up. And we're going to talk about some cringe fun right now. That way, everybody on the panel can play, and not just the people who saw Dune.
Culture is so salty tonight.
He is. He can take out his saltiness on this article.
I'm sorry, Culture. Yeah, and Auto Tomato, I brought that up earlier. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
I have way too.
Well, I probably have to head out anyways. It's getting late. My brain is like soup.
That's cool.
Okay.
How about we
tomato
highlight
soup?
you here, and you can tell everybody where to find you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me on. That was so nice.
No
But yeah,
problem.
you can find me on my main YouTube channel, Nerd Cookies, where I cover a variety of sci-fi and fantasy lore, but you can find a huge playlist of Dune lore videos. So if you're new to the universe or want to brush up, I also have more intricate and spoilery videos too. So hope you find something you enjoy there. But yeah, and also on Twitter at Nerd Cookies. I also have a couple other smaller channels too, Nerd Cookie Arcade and Pop Cookies. If you want to check those out as well.
Yay!
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for jumping on.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thanks again. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, take care.
Later, Elaine.
See you.
All right, let me see if I can find this stupid article. Here we go. This is great. I saw this and I had a good laugh. Michael Myers said to be homophobic in Halloween Kills. And can anyone guess why people are saying this?
I already
Because
know
he killed
why,
gay
'cause-
people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even
Culture
seen the
Fuck's
movie. I'm just
sake.
guessing because that's exactly what happened with it when it killed the gay people, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, it is
At lea-
homophobic."
He
At
kills
least,
every fucking buddy. Like,
At
there's like 20 minutes of him just kicking the fucking shit out of every fucking buddy in this movie. He stabs the shit out of a whole lot of fucking humans. Eat a bag of dicks, you stupid motherfuckers. Jesus Christ.
Well, I was asking you to read the article, but
where's the
Sorry.
Rage
where's
must
the
flow.
fire there, Culture? I thought I was going to be the angry one this live stream.
Wow.
That's a Christ.
No, I can't help but laugh at how stupid this is, and we'll find out why when we get into it. Because I almost thought that this publication was fake. I was digging last night to find out if it was like a Babylon Bee. No, this place is fucking legit.
Ooh, okay.
Well, at least
yeah, and they actually have people that were people's tweets. Oh my god, I can't believe somebody actually said that Chucky was an ally.
The thing is
go ahead.
Culture's got to get to the thing here. So.
Do you realize how long Chucky's been an ally in their fucking world when
Since
there wasn't any
2004.
fucking allies? Yeah, I mean, fuck you guys. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Wait, why is he an ally? For
His son's
how
He's
gay.
got
long?
a son. He's gender fluid. Well, his son and daughter ish, whatever you want to call her.
Transy.
They they referenced Glenn and Glenda, which is an old school Ed Wood movie that touches on transgender issues when naming Chucky's child. So that's that.
Yep.
So I'm going to read words. Here we go. Halloween Kills was released over the weekend, and judging by the film's box office numbers, a lot of people went and saw it. It's also worth pointing out that that's not even factoring in all the people who streamed it on Peacock, if they even knew it existed, by the way. So with all of the attention on the movie, there was bound to be some controversy. That's right. Controversy. Okay.
Moral impurity is basically what they mean when they say that, but never mind.
While the reviews have been mixed to negative so far, mixed and fuck you, everybody's loved this film. Jesus.
Well,
You know
but
what?
they mean among the critical class, the valid people. This is how this works.
Okay. The film is actually receiving some criticism in an area you might not expect. Some are saying that Michael Myers is homophobic in the movie.
Why is that?
Because he kills a gay couple.
I will read on. Here we go.
At least it makes more sense than calling Buffalo Bill transphobic like they do about Silence of the Lambs all the
My
fucking
favorite
time.
is that what he's supposed to do. Oh, my bad, you're gay. Let me slowly back
I
out
heard
of
he's
here.
a
and not murder
monster. He
you.
just kills people. You know.
Here's
He's
the
just
funny
awful.
thing is the couple in question. I know people like this, and this is what's hilarious. Is they're an older gay couple, and they've obviously moved into this little town, and they bought Michael Myers' old house because they're the only people who would, and they fixed it up, and now it's the nicest place in fucking town.
Yeah, because gay.
Yeah, and here's the
The
other
power
problem.
of the gay.
And not to give away too much of the thing, but all Michael wants to do is go home. And guess what? There's 2 people living in his fucking house.
Well,
So
and
what you gonna do?
And here's the other thing. Michael Myers, Rob Zombie movies notwithstanding, isn't even a serial killer with a personality. When he puts on the mask, he takes on the persona of the Shape. Why is the Shape called the Shape? Because it's literally supposed to be an avatar of just blank murder. He's not like Freddy Krueger. He doesn't have witticisms. He's not, we're not talking about a person who is a murderer here. We're talking about murder incarnate is effectively what Michael Myers is.
They forgot that Freddy Krueger was bisexual as well. But anyway, moving on.
Well, Dalton, don't be offended. I'm about to do something.
Well, he was a child, water too. So that's a whole nother situation. But I was
So
being facetious. And
so he's a pedo too? No.
Yeah. I was trying to be goofy.
I got you.
Dalton.
Anyway, why am I supposed to not be being offended?
No, be offended because I'm going to take on an affectation. Okay.
Sweetheart, the only thing that offends me is stupidity. You should know this by now.
I know, and I love you very much. Okay, here we go. Well, obviously, you haven't seen the movie. These are spoilers ahead. The scene in question is when Michael
more
Myers.
Valley Girl than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I can't do it very well. I don't. I have not mastered the lisp.
Just go forward, Coulter.
Okay.
We all got the bit.
Forward,
Coulter.
Gaily forward.
It's not
forward. Okay. Well, the scene is when Michael Myers breaks into his childhood home where the gay couple currently lives, and Myers murders them in a way that least surprising moments in the movie. He'd kill anyone regardless of the sexual orientation, especially someone living in his home.
Well, at least they pointed that out.
Yes, they did.
The scene has stirred up quite a bit of discussion in the social media.
Here's where the stupidity begins.
Okay, here we go.
So this is where I'm getting offended. Okay.
Saw that Halloween movie. Didn't expect Michael Myers to be so homophobic. Based NGL.
Not a good look, I think is what they said. Based, not a good look.
Yeah.
And look at the name there, racist Aaron Yeager.
Okay. Again, he's not homophobic because that would imply a particular distaste for homosexuals. If he is anything relating to humanity, which we've established he shouldn't be because the Shape is effectively murder incarnate, but if he is anything relating to humanity, the term you are looking for is misanthrope because he hates everyone and wants to kill everyone.
No, definitely.
If he hates anything at all.
Way.
Definitely a misanthrope.
But these idiots are just looking for something to be offended by.
Right.
Well, here's the kicker,
Sometimes
guys.
I wonder if they're even offended by it at all.
We get into these. Here's the point I meant with pointing out that name. Most of these are fucking jokes. They are literally joke tweets in this fucking.
No, that first one was a tweet. Let's see what this one is. And this is great because YetiCast is being a director right now. It says, "Can you try being more flamboyant at Culture Casino?" Okay.
All I got from this new Halloween movie is that Michael Myers is like totally homophobic. Not super.
Thanks for
Dude, okay. Well, Tom apparently beat me to that punch. I guess I just lost the job, but. Michael Myers is homophobic. Halloween kills #. Anyway, Halloween Kills was so good, but why did Michael have to kill the one gay couple? Michael Myers is homophobic.
I mean,
because they were in the way.
That's it.
It's unstoppable force meets immovable object sort of thing.
I can totally buy them being shit posts. It's the fact that so many people are doing it. I don't know.
Oh, I know. I love it.
Well, it gets better when Chucky gets involved. That's
I know.
Point.
That's the part where I was like, I shook my head.
Because I'll explain the scene because I don't know if any of you guys have seen the show yet, but I did explain it to you guys I think before the show, but for anybody else in the chat too. But basically in the new Child's Play series, it picks up after the 7 movies that we've already had. So there's a whole lore, a whole legacy to this. Mm-hmm. The new character that's introduced is gay. But they treat him like a regular character. He has, it's not all about him being gay.
He's a person who happens to be gay.
Exactly. And it helps that Don Mancini just happens to be gay, and he's been part of Chucky since the very, 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 very start. Mm-hmm. So, point being is that it comes to a point where Chucky finds the kid's journal, and he's like, I can't remember. I think the kid's name is Brandon, but the kid he's got a crush on is Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
I think it is actually, to be honest with you. And he goes, so Chucky says something like, "Oh, I would think the world just turned the color Brandon." And he's like, "You were gonna," and he's like, so he's picking on him a little bit.
Well, you're
like,
not wrong.
Yeah, and he's like, so he's picking on him just a tad, but then the kid says something, and then he's like, "So you don't have a problem with me being gay?" And he's like, "Nah, I got a kid who's gender fluid. Besides that, I'm a murderer, not a monster." That's the whole joke, right?
Unbelievable.
I'm not gonna lie, that is genuinely funny. I will co-sign that joke. Well done.
It was a genuinely funny fucking scene. Because they don't keep making a big deal, and they treat it like it would any other normal relationship, and that's what's great about it, right? Like, in fact, I would say that they bring it up less than they probably do in a normal heterosexual relationship would be in one of these kind of series.
Yeah, I would love if we could just get back to that state of affairs, frankly, because it's just like not only do they completely erase characters' identities when they make them minorities now, but they completely erase why they should be employed at all. Like, why do you bring up a character's sexuality? So you can tell a romance story, you dumbass, or at least have a story with a romance subplot. But they never bother to give gay characters actual romances or love interests or anything. It's only to be an avatar of the gay, basically.
Right. And I mean, he is bullied, but not because he's gay, but because he's a geek. And he carries around a fucking Chucky doll and shit.
As you know, and as a gay geek, I honestly identify more with my geekness than I do my gayness most of the time. Except when it's expedient in an argument, because I will shove the "you can't call me homophobic because I'm gay" thing in people's faces whenever it's feasible.
But it's interesting because we're only 2 episodes in, so I can't. I mean, again, the show could go completely off the rails, but so far, basically, you got Chucky basically grooming this kid through his bullying to turn him into a fucking murderer.
Right.
Yeah, as Chucky would do.
Speaking of which,
just to completely clarify this, so they are completely ignoring the stupid robot one
that has nothing to do
from
with
a couple
any
years
of
ago.
that shit. No. This
Okay, thank God. The voodoo aspect is back, because that's my favorite aspect.
No,
of this
Brad
series.
Dourif is back. In fact, they're going to be bringing back almost anybody who's ever been in one of the movies before that's still alive.
So they're doing the Cobra Kai thing.
Kind of.
That's
Kind of,
good.
but so far they have not even teased, or really only one little minor tease of any of the old characters. I just know they're coming in from some of the stuff that I know.
Okay.
But like, because I mean, some of them have confirmed it, and other than that, the only one who hasn't really confirmed it yet is Catherine Hicks, who played Andy's mother in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a wild card because she could show up anytime, and she could have showed up anytime before, because Kevin Yeager, the guy who designed Chucky, is her husband. They met on the first movie, but she just decided never to come back to that, and then she got on Seventh Heaven and stuff like that, so she decided not to go near the horror thing again. Yeah,
I never understood how Chucky the doll became the doll killer. You know, like how the doll animated. Did they ever explain that? Because I've only seen one.
Yeah, he was basically put into the body of the doll.
Yeah, he was a murderer who knew voodoo. And,
The long and the short of it is Charles Lee Ray knew his number was up. He knew the police were coming to shoot him, and so he used
shot actually. But yeah,
he used a voodoo spell to transfer his life energy into a doll, not realizing that the longer he was in the doll, the more human it would become, and therefore he would become vulnerable.
And the trick in the first movie, at least, and then they kind of fudged with it a little later on, because Don Mancini, the guy who wrote the original version and is the only one who's still attached, really, he didn't like this aspect. They added all this stuff to it. The original version was much different, but then the catch is the only way he could get out of the doll is by transferring himself into the first person he revealed his true secret identity to.
Oh,
be the kid.
Which is kind of goofy.
Yeah, it's kind
So at first he wanted to be human again, but then he realized how awesome it was to be a killer doll,
and it's one of the best scenes in
cinematic
history, regardless of what y'all think of Seed of Chucky. I fucking love that scene, because he's like, I've had it. If being a human is this, I don't want it. I love being Chucky. I'm the killer doll. You know, he's like, this big massive.
It's a great scene.
Fuck it.
And it makes total sense too. It's like, Why am I wasting all this time trying to be human again? Being human sucks.
And then what's better is as you get through the series, he's found a way to do things that are just crazy. Like they played with the voodoo in different ways than after that, which is kind of fun. So it's gone into some wacky directions, but also some really cool ones. And I've never had a problem with the series. I've been on board. I loved Seed of Chucky because I've seen it for what it was.
Okay.
It is basically
Camp?
a Chucky movie. Yeah, it's camp.
It's a B movie, basically.
I think after like a certain point, they just devolved down to just
Don
being camp.
Mancini wanted to make basically, like a campy, funny. Here's the thing: Bride of Chucky was a romantic comedy. Seed of Chucky was a Sylvester and his son Looney Tunes episode. That's what it was.
Yeah, Sylvester and Junior.
It was directed by John Waters, who happens to be in the movie. And if anybody knows anything about John Waters,
oh yeah.
If you know that now and you see that movie, you're like, oh yeah, that is totally like a movie if John Waters had directed a Chucky movie. Even though he didn't direct it, he was there and he was definitely a big influence on the campiness of it. And then they went back to the more horror stuff with Curse of Chucky, and then Cult of Chucky kind of mixed and melded both. Yeah.
Oh man. So Garrett, quarterback Garrett just showed. He's like, "Yo, just got here. What do y'all think of Dune? We just got done talking about."
Oh my god!
Don't start us again.
Let's start all over again.
But yeah, sorry, Culture. Keep reading these fucking funny ass tweets.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do this I'm trying to do a transatlantic accent. Here we go. I'm trying to channel Val Kilmer. Hang on a minute.
I love you, Culture.
So I can't believe that Michael Myers is not only a murderer, but also homophobic.
That sounds more Irish than
transatlantic.
transatlantic.
I did my very
there's
best.
there's some Blarney in there.
I did my very best.
I can't believe that Michael Myers is now.
It works though. Go on with your Blarneying. So
Val
go.
Kilmer is much more up here anyway. Val
You sounded
Kilmer.
so gay.
You know what? I tried.
Excuse me, I'm the only gay one on this live stream.
How about you just read it being you?
Can't believe Michael Myers is homophobic. Hashtag canceled.
You sounded like Elon Musk.
It worked. So,
Had albums in there and shit like I'm just finished watching the new Halloween. Yeah, something like that.
Oh my god! Can you do another one in Elon's voice?
Just
Please.
finished watching the new Halloween. It's official. Michael Myers is homophobic. Hashtag cancel Michael Myers.
Okay. Stop, because I actually do have something worthwhile to say here. Are these people genuinely more offended by the concept of homophobia than murder?
Probably.
I think a lot of these are jokes. I don't know.
Most of them.
But even so, whoever made this article thought these were serious and took them as a sign that people agreed with them.
That's
okay.
the problem with 2021, folks, is the fact that you can't tell if it's satire if they're being serious.
Well, here's the problem.
What I'm saying to the person who created this article, then, and I'm saying it as a gay person, as bad as homophobia is in your lexicon, I refuse to believe that you genuinely, for real, in all seriousness, are more angry that Michael Myers is homophobic than the fact that he is a murdering sociopath who is barely even human.
Yes.
Is that how FUBAR we are going? Are you genuinely
Here's
more
the problem with this,
by
Dalton,
that?
is you have two truths here. Yes. Some of these are actual real tweets. I actually did the homework. I actually did the fucking homework, unlike this fucking person who wrote this article, and I checked on all these tweets. And once you get to the Chucky ones, like 99.9% of them are all fucking jokes. Now, these first few, like a couple of them are real, but half of them are like making fun of the other people.
Yeah.
Like, because genuinely, like, I think the one we're coming up in here is a genuine one.
This
okay,
one
that's
But
why
what
I'm
you have here,
targeting
Dalton,
it
is you have a similar situation. I don't know if you remember when It came out, It Part 2.
Yes, the Pennywise used to be an ally, and now he can't be.
Now, and I don't know if you know what that originated from, but that originated from a bunch of, I guess, Reddit groups that had shipped the Babadook with
Pennywise. Yes, I am aware.
They were fucking betrayed by that, and it's like, you dumb fucks, you made it up in your own mind, and now you're getting pissed over a story that was told 30 years ago.
But the logic, and I use that term in loosest possible quotations, but the logic in these people's minds is Pennywise is a clown, and that makes him rainbow colored and campy, and therefore he should be an ally or a surrogate for the gay community, because clown in a lot of old
That's even
school
dumber
movies
than my
is
fucking explanation.
is surrogate for. Well, yes, but it's the explanation that these people actually believe is the funny thing, and that's why, even if some of these are jokes, the person who wrote this article agrees and co-signs with them. Even if the person who wrote the original thing doesn't, the guy who wrote this article does genuinely think that's a legitimate line of criticism. So, person who wrote this article, my question is,
I feel for your ambivalence. He says, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Well, here's a great
I feel
example.
the same way.
Is right here in front of us. I think we have the best of examples, because I believe the one, from my recollection from looking these up, the one that on top here by J.A.F.O or whatever this is, that one is real, and then the one underneath this Ethan one is making fun of the people like
yeah.
All right, let's get to the Chucky ones, because those are fucking gold.
Yeah, here we go. See, here's obviously one that's making fun of it.
Chucky being an ally and Michael Myers being homophobic is funny to me.
I think they put the wrong teary face there. I think it was supposed to be.
Again, particular disdain for homosexuals. He has a particular disdain for basically every living creature, and also probably himself.
Right.
And then some of these are just idiots who have never seen the series before, so they clearly Googled it after
Virtue
the fact.
signal. Yeah.
Yeah. So they if you actually watched the movies, you would have known this shit.
This is my favorite one. So Michael Myers is homophobic, and Chucky is an LGBTQ plus up, down, left, right start ally. Y'all better keep your faves in check. That one's probably real.
So again, question: are we genuinely going to moralize characters who we have established are unrepentant murderous serial killers?
It doesn't matter, Dalton.
If you can play that one right there, I think that's the scene I was talking about right there.
There you go.
Is it a real tweet though? That's the question.
Can you claim that? Can they claim that? Though?
Climb it?
Yeah, they might.
Even if it's what, 10, 20 seconds?
Yeah. Well,
10 or 20 second intervals usually don't get yanked. So
you have to go to the real tweet though. I don't know if it'll play from there.
But it opened a new window. That's why. Okay.
Yeah,
but that's why Chappelle in his closer talked about that, about the baby killing someone and that making his career, and then making a gay joke and that killing his career.
That's what I think most of these people are joking about. Because, like I said, once you go clicking,
that was the clip, by the way. Because I was listening to it. I was like, why is everyone talking over it? Oh yeah,
we couldn't hear it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'll jump to the clip after we get through these. Culture?
Go ahead, Culture.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like, do you take off again? Shit.
No, no. Michael Myers being canonically homophobic and Chucky being canonically anti-homophobic is not something I expected. Here.
Again,
not totally true either, because Chucky had to come to terms with that shit. So,
well, but at least he did. But in any case, again, the logical point I will continue to make here is homophobia requires a particular disdain for homosexuals in particular.
You don't need to explain it every time we read one.
I know, but
we get it.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those. I have logical OCD. You guys know this by now.
I know, but the whole point is to make fun of it.
Proof Michael Myers isn't homophobic.
He's not homophobic because he's misanthropic.
Well, he said isn't. That's funny. How he kills is Michael Myers killing everyone, but allowing the gay couple to be together in the same room after killing them.
Look, come on. Sometimes
it's actually kind of a sweet killing, to be honest with you. I don't
it's
because here you go. Like he does like the classic thing, like he always does, and sets people up. Like remember in the first movie, he stole his sister's gravestone, put it on the bed, and then put the body of Annie on the fucking, like she was laying on the gravestone, and he hung up other people and shit like that. He's basically doing the same thing here, but he actually recreates their photo, but in the opposite. But see, there's a reason for that, I think. And when we were getting into this there's a lot of mirroring in this movie. So I think that has the fact that there's flip flopped when it comes to this part. Yeah.
And he did a really nice job with the dual.
And I actually loved those characters. Big John and Little John were kind of hilarious, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know guys like that.
And Big D and Little D. I mean, they gave us Game of Thrones. Anyway, here we go.
Wow.
Wow. I need to not inhale ever again. It's not the first time a horror character has been called homophobic. Back in 2019, some were saying the same things about Pennywise the Clown after watching It Chapter 2. That was particularly interesting because prior to that, Pennywise had been called an LGBTQ icon along with the Babadook. The sequel has
what the hell is the Babadook?
I have no idea.
Monster movie, ghost
movie.
Yeah. The sequel also received some other backlash as someone made a petition that said the filmmakers need to remove the scene in which Michael Myers kills firefighters in brutal fashion.
I still
Obviously, the petition didn't achieve its goal as the scene is still in the movie. At the end of the day, all of this leads us to one final question.
We can't have fun in movies anymore.
I don't think that was the question.
No,
but yeah,
it was a statement, not a question.
No, you nailed it. By the way, is Halloween Kills really that controversial? Wow, that's a word. Controversial. There we go. In comparison to other movies that we've seen the iconic slasher in since the late 1970s, because of a scene in which he murders people.
In the state world, no, but you wrote an article under the emphasis of otherwise, so go ahead.
True. People that happen to be living in his childhood home when he comes back. Well, yeah. There's so first of all, this is bad editing, grammar, lots of other things, but I'll keep going. There's not really much to suggest that Myers wouldn't do something like that, regardless of sexual preference. That's a true statement. It's also fair to point out that some of the reactions seem to be tongue-in-cheek, as most Michael Myers and Halloween fans likely already know that the iconic character would kill anyone.
Here's the problem with doing something stupid. Acknowledging that you still did something stupid does not change the fact that you did something stupid.
You still wrote this article under the impetus of it is a legitimate controversy. Therefore, explaining to your audience why this entire article shouldn't exist does not change the fact that you did, in fact, in all honesty, and it actually even makes it worse because it means you knew what you did. You knew what you did was wrong, but you did it anyway.
Hence, why this article gets the Chun-Li Award of the month, folks.
It really does. All right, let's get back.
Is Wes alive? Wes, are you okay?
I think he fell asleep.
Yeah, I'm still here.
He's like, I ain't seen fucking Halloween. I ain't seen fucking Dune. I don't even watch. What's a Chucky?
Well, I mean, I've seen one of them, I think.
Yeah, see?
The mainstream media sucks. Yeah, there you go.
Well says. Toxic Man Flu for $10. I'm older than these books. I have read all of them, including the book by his son over 10 times. For the first time in 2 years, I'm the geek and comics is the normie. Oh, yeah.
So
he said comics as in regular comics, not with the X. So I was like,
so did you watch the movie Toxic Man Flu? What'd you think?
I don't know if Tox actually watched it yet.
I don't think he's seen it yet. Yeah, I imagine he probably will.
All right. Yeah. Well, if you haven't seen it, then cool. But I was just curious if you did.
Yep. Rough Girl for $4.99. Okay, YouTube, you win. U.S. flag, Rough Girl out. I'm sorry.
Oh, she's so awesome. I love Rough Girl. She's worked really hard. She's given us lots of super chats tonight. Love you, kid. You're awesome.
All right. And
Cavatino Caverman says next Halloween movie needs to have William Shatner, Dana Carvey, and Mike Myers. And you know what'd be funny is that would be the second Halloween movie that Dana Carvey's been in.
Oh, dude, that would be amazing, right?
Most people don't realize that he is in Halloween 2.
I didn't know that.
He plays the assistant to the news reporter. He has no fucking lines.
That's hilarious. All right,
He's literally in like 2 shots. Yeah.
Toxic Man flew for $5. Comics swings both ways. He is on Team Edward and Team Jacob. Hashtag Twilight Division. Frontman 242 for $5. Not a penny for Comics Division with a smiley face. That's good. Mr. Tickle Trunk for another 2 Canadian pesos. Nerd Cookies versus Jane Theory debate. When mouse bang with an explosion mouse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
By the
They
way,
both have great voices.
They both have incredible voices. That's exactly where Nina and I were both going at the same time.
Yay,
Yeah.
that's what she said.
I could actually listen to them read the phone book, and I would be like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now.
Agreed.
Toxic Man flew for $5. I'm really looking forward to Nina, Jane, and Nerd Cookies stream Jason Momoa Drool Fest 2021 tomorrow.
I told Nerd Cookies, I was like, you better invite me when you're having your Nerd Cookies Dune talk. And she's like, oh, don't worry, you're gonna be there.
Yeah, yeah, I will never get an invite ever again. I said one bad word ever on Elaine's channel. She doesn't love me anymore. I don't know what happened.
I'm not even going to try and interpret that. All right. Godzillionaire for $2. Chucky's an ally. Wait, that they meant Pataki or Jinsaki. Darius Munchausen for $149 with a box of popcorn. How's it going? Stone Cold Jeremy. God, I can read. Really, I can. Sometimes.
Really?
Not really.
But you make it interesting when you don't.
Yeah, seriously. Did I mention I actually graduated from college? I did.
With an anthropology degree, which I'm beginning to think isn't worth the paper it's printed on.
I know. I was gonna say,
minor in classics.
Yeah, there you go.
I was gonna ask if you majored in women's studies or something.
Basket weaving.
250 years after somebody dies.
Apparently, I majored a little too much beer pong too.
Are you gonna know? Yeah, but I want to know. Do you know how somebody identified 250 years after their toast?
Carbon dating? Is that what you're talking about?
Oscar Wilde, maybe, because he was not quiet about it.
Michael Myers does have a heart. He did pose the gay couple like they were in the picture. If anything, he is an ally. I said what I said: beers and devil horns. Thank you, Stone Cold Jeremy, for the $5. And we're actually caught back up for J.A.F.O for $5. Okay, that was my bad. Ask Culture to do transatlantic gay accent. All right. Oren Alteris for $5 Canadian. 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. Number 96. Transatlantic gay weave, accent of Michael Mask Sweet and Chucky Seed. Ginger Mask Weave. Okay. It's like we're combining several things here. We were combining the weave and the Nick Weiser flavor. I'm actually caught up. Wow, I'm actually caught up. All right, let's talk about how we're going to be getting a woke Batman the Animated Series.
Can we talk about the weather?
Why?
Can we talk about what?
Weather.
Can we talk about the government?
The government. Oh, that's always a good conversation.
The song quote.
Apart from the going of Brandon.
Producer Bruce Timm says Batman Caped Crusader will be more inclusive in its representation. This is by J.B. Augustine over at Bounding Into Comics.
Does that mean that the criminals are going to be black instead of just white?
Are we implying that the original wasn't a masterpiece beyond all criticism?
Means it'll suck. That means it is going to be bad.
Not good.
Not good.
DC Fandom, the online convention-style event of coming attractions in gaming, TV, and movies from the brand, had a panel hyping the new cartoon Batman Caped Crusader.
I have a feeling that Bruce was forced to say this.
Well, I'm going to say this one more time. Executive producers Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams,
There
Matt
you go.
Reeves, and James Tucker took part, and each of them revealed a little something that's going to make the series different.
Wherefore art thou, Paul Dini? Is
Tim, who's partly responsible for the success, my goodness, I can't speak tonight, of Batman, the animated series, added in a random note toward the end of the talk that won't shock anybody in the present social climate, but his comment might break a few hearts that had hope for the new show. That is the worst sentence structure I've ever seen there, JB. They will push for Caped Crusader to have more inclusivity than prior iterations in the DC animated universe, said Tim. The way we deal with the characters, it's going to be quite a bit more modern in terms of inclusivity, representation, things like that.
I mean, I wonder if they actually
okay.
and say, I'd like an inclusive cheeseburger, please. Like, I mean,
Okay, but
cheeseburger's not inclusive enough.
For a legitimate second here, even if we're going to play their game, did you forget about the Harley and Ivy episode? Because that was just about as inclusive as you could have gotten away with in 1997. Thank you. Because there's not a soul on this earth that doesn't think those two were screwing. Not one. I defy anyone to say otherwise.
I thought they were like sisters.
Sisters?
I'm joking, obviously. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there seemed to be something implied there with Batman and Robin.
No,
I was talking about.
He's talking about Harley and Poison Ivy.
Yeah, the episode Harley and Ivy, where Harley literally walks out on Mr. J and winds up with Ivy, and then Joker proceeds to act like a spurned ex-boyfriend the entire episode.
Right.
I refuse to believe that those two were not screwing, or at least implied to be.
Well, yeah, I think that was like a Thelma and Louise thing, is what was going on there.
Yeah, that's what I got from that too.
That's my point.
I never interpreted it until they started doing that recently. That they were a scissor sisters, as Mr. Tickletrunk put it.
Scissor sisters,
or lick sisters,
But my point is, a show that managed to get away with that in 1997 doesn't need to be criticized about inclusivity by anyone. Thank you very fucking much.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with this show. It could be woke, it could be not.
Yeah, it's got J.J.
Well,
Abrams.
I mean,
it's got J.J. Abrams. I'm pretty sure it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
he did a really good
Batman and Robin thing. I'm sorry, Wes.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say that the original, he was involved. He was basically the showrunner for the '90s cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well,
okay, so
he actually made some really good books too, Wes.
Well, I haven't read them, but I am familiar with the '90s cartoon. So the '90s cartoon was amazing, but then wasn't he also involved in kind of they shifted the look of the cartoon?
Yeah, that was after Paul Dini and Bruce Timm had their falling out.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
because it was the two. It was the two of them together that made the lightning strike. Apparently.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they did shift the art and it sucked. Go ahead, Culture. Keep going.
Right before that, he explained this modern spin will be set against a timeless 40s backdrop, leaning further into the German expressionist style than they did in the 90s.
Okay, see, that I'm fine with, because that makes total sense within the context of the show and doesn't have anything to do with inclusivity.
Yeah.
Tim also stated, one of my elevator pitch versions of this show is that it's more Batman the Animated Series than Batman the Animated Series.
Interesting.
It kind of goes back to the original principles of the show that we originally came up with back in the early 90s, he added. There was certain limitations on what we could do in terms of adult content, in terms of violence and adult themes. Otherwise, Tim looks at it like 1990 again, and he gets to do things he's always wanted, emphasizing it's back to the basic principles of Batman TAS without the limitations, he says.
Okay, that's a bit of a catch-22, or I can see that going either way, because some of that might be they have more creative freedom, and that might be a good thing. Some of that might be the limitations that were in place might have been necessary and constructive, so going without them might be bad. So I don't know which way I want to call that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, and they kind of spill some more stuff out in the article too about what they're going to do. But yeah,
he says, "I've got JJ and Matt backing me up."
I don't know if I necessarily.
Yeah, what you need, Bruce, is Paul. You should make up with Paul, because you two were a class act back in the day.
Yeah, it is disappointing today. Yeah.
Batman. Caped Crusader is going back to the roots of the character and the noir that made the Fox WB series so special. The Dark Knight will be a loner and the only hero around in a page out of Reeves, the Batman, and Christopher Nolan's trilogy.
I actually like the fact that they had the Bat family in there. I like the fact that they had Robin. I like the fact that they introduced Batgirl.
And I liked the nods to the broader DC universe, like when Etrigan showed up, or when Zatanna showed up, or whatever. That was cool.
I thought that was cool.
That was a large part of what made the DC animated universe awesome back in the day. Was they didn't section everybody off into their own little rabbit cage universe.
Yeah.
Well, what was also cool is that they actually had the 60s Batman, his name, I'm drawing a blank, who played
Adam
him.
West.
Adam West. They had Adam West come back as the Gray Ghost, which was very cool. Yeah.
I thought it was the gay ghost when I took the job.
Oh, may he rest in peace.
I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
Reeves explains, in Bruce's world, in this new iteration, it's just Batman right now. There's not the Justice League that doesn't exist. There aren't any other superheroes. It's Batman. You're watching this lone figure swimming through the cesspool of Gotham. It's
Batman's
Batman.
not a superhero. He's a vigilante.
Yes, he is.
And what about those of us that actually liked the broader DC nods, and that was what made it special for us? I guess we can all just go hang now.
Indeed.
He also won't have the trust of Jim Gordon or the police yet, so Caped Crusader is a starting out version in its own way, paralleling the upcoming movie, which had a trailer drop at Fandom to close out the event. In fact, the show's co-executive producer, James Tucker, explained he's going to be very low-tech initially. As he develops as a character, we'll start introducing those gadgets. The audience...
Bruce, Tim, we don't want you to bend Batman the Animated Series over so that you can hype up Matt Reeves' version. I'm excited for Matt Reeves' version. Matt Reeves' version looks great. But when you talk to me about Bruce Timm's Batman Animated Series revival, I just want to go back to the way it was when I was, a kid, and the DC Animated Universe was the most awesome thing on television.
Yep.
That's what I want. I don't want you to have to synergize every little thing so that Matt Reeves doesn't get upset.
As Kevin Smith taught us, you can never go back.
Yes, you can never go back home. Yeah.
It's because everything is fucking ruined. Because somebody burned it to the ground.
What Gary said, it's like I want to. This is the thing I like about Batman the Animated Series. It's Batman in his prime. He has the gadgets. We don't need a fucking origin story.
It's not Batman Begins again.
Yeah, we don't need Batman Begins again and again and again and again.
And again, it works fine for Matt Reeves' version. I'm excited for that version, but it doesn't have to be every version. And when you talk to me, Mr. Tim, of coming back to the way it was in the 90s, I'm going to hold you to that because that was my childhood. Thank you, and I would prefer it if you very much stopped raping it. Thanks.
Well, and the sad part is the beauty of animation is it doesn't matter how old the voice actors get; they can stay the same age, right? We learned that with The Simpsons, sadly. Like, and I'm sure that if you're going to ever entice Mark Hamill to come back, it would be as we're bringing back the animated series as it was before. He'd be like, "Hell yeah!" And you know damn well, like almost everybody else would be back on board to be a part of it. So
yeah, he loved playing the Joker, and by all accounts, everyone on that show loved doing it. So why not?
Well, and they kind of became the more definitive versions of what people love. Like, I mean, granted, like I love, like certain versions myself, but I cannot argue with anybody that the Batman animated series captures Batman in its probably best
I think the problem
adaptation.
now with getting Mark Hamill to do it is Mark Hamill honestly sounds too old to be the Joker.
Really?
Like his Joker voice.
And you can just get me.
His voice is very.
I think that
the Joker voice is very hard to do. Is the problem, and it's grating on his throat, and you can tell.
The last time he did it, which I believe was for the
it was one of the video games.
Killing Joke, right?
Killing Joke.
Do it for Killing. Yeah, I think you're right.
He did it for Killing Joke. Maybe we did it one more time, but he's like, he doesn't sound good doing it anymore. It doesn't sound like the Joker.
Well, he did the Joker voice in the Kevin
Skeletor.
Smith
Yeah, it's basically the same fucking voice.
Yeah,
well,
that's what it was.
He has
At the end,
voice.
it was
he has
his
plain
Skeletor
voice, and he has
was
the
like it
Joker
didn't
voice.
sound right. Yeah. Anyway.
Hello, He-Man.
Also, Justice
it's
League
weird
Action was Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy both came back.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is you got Kevin Conroy there too. Sorry.
Yeah, Mecha J is right. Troy Baker does a great impersonation of Joker, or I should say, impersonation of Mark Hamill doing the Joker voice.
Well, a lot of people can. What were you saying, Wes? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Sorry, I was having a carrot stick here. Trying to eat healthy. Yeah, what I was saying was that Mark Hamill's voice was different for Skeletor in the start of that series than it was at the end. He sounded like the Joker.
Yeah, more so.
Well, a lot of basically any voice that Mark Hamill does that has a British accent ends up sounding like the Joker. Whether it's Skektek from Dark Crystal, or whether it's Skeletor, or any other character he does that has a vaguely British accent, it sounds like the Joker, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, Culture, continue. Culture.
The audience can see how he develops at the Batmobile using different prototypes. That's part of the fun of the series. If is we are finding him discovering that most other Batman series, they were already there,
and we get to see where he makes Bat babies.
Okay, but again, Bruce Timm, that works fine for Matt Reeves. It even worked fine for Christopher Nolan. But it's not what people want from you. What people want from you is the lightning in a bottle that you gave us in our childhoods. Because whether you and Paul Dini can tolerate each other anymore or not, what you two captured in the late 90s and early 2000s defined entire generations of not just superhero fans, but comic book fans. Because I will bet literal money that you got a bunch of people reading DC Comics who otherwise wouldn't have, by that show being as awesome as it was.
That's true. Unfortunately, we have to let somebody go right now. I think Nina has to bounce out.
Yeah, I do. Sorry. Thank you so much, you guys, for inviting me on Comics. Thank you so much for sending me the link and letting me come and talk about Dune, because I was so excited. I just finished watching it and I felt so good. So thank you. And I love everybody on this panel, even if we don't agree. I just love having these kind of, talks.
I don't agree with you. I don't love everybody on this panel.
I definitely don't love you, Tom. We both know that.
Like you too, Tom.
But yes, thank you, everybody. So in the chat, you guys are amazing. I will be on my channel tomorrow at 3:45 Eastern, where I will be talking about good news. So if you're sick of all the crazy BS going on in the world, come and hang out with me at 3:45 before Friday Night Tights, where Comics Division is going to be. So yeah.
After me, before FNT.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Good night.
See you.
Love you, kid.
He's awesome.
Did we,
you know what?
I was like, did we lose somebody? And it was Dalton.
It was
like,
Dalton.
He hated himself.
Sorry,
I
as everyone knows, StreamYard hates phones. So
I was, of course, kidding about not liking anybody, but yeah, just to be clear.
yes, I got the joke. It was just unfortunate timing that StreamYard decided to crash my phone all of a sudden.
I just want to
be a
say
diva. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, go ahead. Somebody talk.
I said Dalton being a diva.
I just want to say that just so you all know, we had 2 chicks on a Dick's panel tonight. I'm just gonna say that. All right.
So are you saying it was a
Raising?
Are you saying there
Hashtag Dicks and Chicks?
It was an orgy.
Okay.
Is that what
No,
you're
I'm just saying we had 2 chicks in a Dick's
I know
panel.
what
That's
you're
all I
saying.
gotta say about that.
And
all
again,
I heard was
praising.
dicks with dicks. Anyway.
That's not what I said.
That's what
Zero
you're
discussion with
implying.
Dave Cruz for 125 Filipino pesos. Wait
Good night,
for these idiots to cancel Freddy Krueger because of his past killing indiscriminately, or they say that he is an ally. Let's go, Brandon. Yes.
Freddy's a whole lot of problematic.
Indeed, he is. So did anyone pay attention to the Dave Chappelle protest at all?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but did you see the new news where Chappelle said if he offered today to meet with any one of the Netflix employees, none of them returned a response. He says, "I'll sit down with you, and you can go over with me."
That's
your
not what they
problem
want,
is."
George.
Oh,
So here's what I don't.
Let
What
George
was
finish,
great
sorry.
is, what was great is though is he pretty much said if Netflix cancels the show, he's like, I'm gonna do a motherfucking 10-city tour and I'm gonna keep going. So he's gonna show everybody. He's like, I'll show everybody what this is about because he goes, there's nothing in here that's wrong. And Chappelle can do it.
Well, and that's funny because he said that in front of the UK audience that was sold out. Yeah, George, you're right on it, buddy. And that's
It's almost
the
like
thing.
people actually want comedy or something.
Oh, dude, yeah. You look,
It is.
here's the thing: the disconnect in the world right now is that we get information from one place. Believe it or not, everything that you see is from one place. There are 5 companies; they control the media networks. There's one thought
Interlocking,
process there.
yeah.
It's
The
a hive
aristocracy
mind
and the
that you're
worldviews of
dealing
the
with.
aristocracy, basically.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So you have to branch out. You have to look at YouTube. You have to look at freaking Tim Pool. You have to look at freaking Crowder. You have to look at all these other people to get actual information. Because guess
And
what?
also
That's
everybody
why they're
else on this
angry.
panel that you are currently watching, please subscribe to all of us. Thanks.
But that's why they're angry. You know, that's why they're angry because people have switched off. Either they've cut cords or they switched off the mainstream media and they've gone to comics, culture, Tom, West. You know, they're moving.
Nobody comes to my channel.
Look, and that's
come on.
I wish people came to my channel. It would be nice if people actually watched.
and this is a weird thing because comics and I intentionally did it way back in the Wayback Machine. I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. We actually ran during a show an AI response article.
yeah.
Right.
What was that?
So today's video that I dropped today is because of that. I found that the AP over the course of the last 3 years has gotten 50,000 articles plus over 50,000 articles of AI
That were generated by
content.
AI.
Yes, and that is why I did the video I did today. I was so pissed. You guys have no idea. And they are not the only ones doing it. You have all of this stuff that's quote unquote data driven, which
Right.
means that they can, this is the problem with data driven bullshit via AI, they can get bad data because
Of
you know
course.
what they do? They crawl the web and they pull out citations. The citations can be total shit.
False. Yeah.
Sampling bias also.
Well, when I
If
saw
they
the
want-
video,
We actually did this live too, where we type in something
We
and we
did,
go and
yeah.
generate an article, and then we read it.
Really?
well,
Yeah.
I saw the video with Vito, right? And I gotta say this,
I didn't realize that was Vito. I didn't listen to it.
Yeah, well, no, they
Yeah,
totally
he's a douche.
fucked with him. They totally screwed him. Like, that's bullshit. I don't care who it was. That was bullshit what they did to him. But here's the thing: is all he had to do was tell him he supports cuties, and they probably would have left him alone.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I don't. Okay, here's what I don't understand. I'm 44 years old. I've had a few jobs in my time, and if all of us had walked out, our badges wouldn't work and we'd be fired. So
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
come
I
on.
don't
Come on. If
understand.
any of us,
I don't understand.
Real quick. I don't like Vito. I don't care that he did this. He is.
Who's
I don't
Vito?
know. I don't know much about him. He was basically one of the guys that narked
He's the
out
guy
on.
Is
on
that who
Friday Night
tried to,
Tights.
is that who was trying to get Friday Night Tights closed? That
Yes.
Gary-
He was one of them. So
Yes, he was one of them.
I can't take anything that he says
Seriously.
serious
Yeah,
because of
understand.
that. I don't think he's legit.
But why?
Even if he is on our side, just because we speak the same language doesn't mean we're allies.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
but
not
why
even
would-
talking about him as an individual. I'm just saying, like, any of us. That just goes to show that it could have been anyone.
Yeah.
And the proof
Yeah,
is in the pudding. that they'll do that.
anyone who bucks the worldview is
Right.
the next against the wall, basically.
And the other thing too, which I think was interesting, and I think Tom, you pointed out, is that they basically started screaming that he had a weapon or something like that.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, Vito, that's why I made the joke, is he's out there fucking supporting cuties too. And again, I'm not somebody who's all for fucking censorship, but there has to be a line
There
drawn
has to
when
be a
you
line,
get
and
to.
that's kids.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the cuties is on that line, or at least over it in one way or the other. My point is take Vito out of the equation. All that was I'm so glad it was caught on camera, because it shows exactly the fucking tactics they do. That was the kind of shit we saw during the riots. That was the kind of shit we saw during all the other bullshit in recent months. Like, this is what we needed.
Well,
it's
what they've always done. Even back when it was Alex Jones or Milo Yiannopoulos who was getting yeeted, it's what they do every time. They wait for you to say the wrong thing, or for your words to be
misconstrued,
posthumously twisted into the wrong thing, and then you are an invalid person, and we don't tolerate invalid people around here, and so
right. But that's why Chappelle is showing everyone how to handle it. Hey, you don't apologize, you don't back down, you stick to your ground. Everyone gets into trouble when they go. Even Netflix, when they said we suspended him, we're standing behind Chappelle, that was it. The very fact that they started to cave to those people and they said, okay, we lift the suspend, that was over for them.
Yeah, an apology is not a acknowledgement. It's not an olive branch to them. An apology to these sorts of people is an admission of guilt. It's a co-signing of your worldview is correct. That's what an apology means in these people's minds. And once you say in their minds your worldview is correct, they will hold you to every tiny little facet of their worldview until there's nothing left of you than their worldview.
You have to think of activists as the same way you would think of terrorists. In that way, they don't negotiate. They're there for one reason, their agenda. They don't care who they hurt, what they scorch. So you have to treat them mentally in the same way and emotionally. You go, that's a bug. I'm going to step on it, and I'm going to do my thing. If they get in my way, I'm going to push it aside. You don't talk to them. You don't deal with them. I would treat them like a 3-year-old. Ignore them. They don't exist. Keep moving forward. Why?
Did you guys see my Alyssa Milano tweet?
Which one?
I deal with those in a different 3-year-old way, and then I ask why, the question why, like a million times.
Right, we have done that. I guess I'm going past that because we've done that for a while. Like why? Well, why is half of them are brain dead, the other half are being paid, and it's organized astroturf. The rest actually believe in their agenda, but they believe it in a zealous way where they're not open to a discussion. That's why I think
because it's a worldview to them, and unfortunately, the problem is worldviews change the way you see the world entirely.
Correct. But I think that was what was important about the fact that Chappelle, when he said, "I'll sit down with any Netflix employee," I mean, he's a star.
They won't do it.
Of course,
no. What they want is they want him.
Alyssa Milano tweet. So she got arrested in front of the White House, and I basically said domestic terrorist Alyssa Milano has been arrested for inciting an insurrection at the White House.
That's good.
Well, the thing is what they want is they want Chappelle to sit down for one of those fucking apology sessions, struggle sessions, like they were trying to do with Gina. That's what they want.
Go to confession, my son.
Do it and put it on camera.
They want it on their fucking terms, is what they want.
Look here, if Chappelle did that, he would destroy them all. And if we had it on camera, it would be amazeballs. Because we'd be able to expose them for the commies that they are, you know, because that's what happens, you know, commies, socialism.
And how stupid they are.
Shut up, motherfucker! Shut up, motherfucker! Shut up, motherfucker!
Yes, exactly.
I would half expect them, you know, one of them. Go ahead, George.
No, go. I was saying especially because the fact that he supports almost all of them. He's like, you get the fact. That's what you're saying. That I actually support all of you, except for I'm a fucking comedian. And
he dedicated his apparently transphobic comedy show to a trans friend he knew personally who defended him and got bullied into suicide, for fuck's sake.
Yep. That's the thing.
Her brother and sister.
That's the thing that's so fucked up about it, right? It's like if these people actually watched it, which I'm pretty sure they didn't,
right?
They would realize that, you know, they are also a part of the problem because they bullied somebody into committing suicide. That was a part of their community.
I've seen people defend that who have watched it and still say that it's transphobic because he's using a dead trans person as a human shield. To which my response is, what the fuck do you think you're doing every single time you insinuate that all of us need to oblige to the same worldview, or else we're
they do the exact same thing in the fact that they always bring up, you know, trans women who have been killed, but never cite who actually killed them, and it's usually people within their own community. That's typically their domestic partner.
Well, this is exactly, you know, why back in the day when Gamergate was still an active thing, Not Your Shield existed, because people like me, who were LGBT and disabled, in my case, were being lumped in with these people, and it's like, I'm sorry, but no, I don't agree with your worldview. I don't think this LGBT movement you're building is productive, and I think your premises are flawed. So don't include me in your club or your worldview. But
that's
when I do that, I become internalized homophobic there.
But
this is why. And this is why I think it's AstroTurf and not real, because, I mean, look at that. I mean, any other job, you walk off the job like that, you would be fired. You would be gone.
Well, and
your
the
badge
thing
wouldn't work. You would be. It's like, you know, fuck off. You're gone.
Well, okay, so here's why they can get away with it is because there's these things called employee resource groups, and all this was organized by the
ERG.
Yes, the trans ERG.
Yeah, the ERG.
This is how they can get away with it.
But the problem is this: look. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's an ERG or whatever. The showrunner for one of the new Netflix series and writer for one of the new Netflix series, it's a big one. It's the Frasier Show. Actually, it was the one that was guilty of battery on Vito in the video. They identified him. It's pretty clear. And that's a problem because guess where that was committed? On Netflix property. So you have a Netflix employee committing battery on Netflix property against Vito.
Making them liable. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a bad
Nothing's going to happen.
thing.
Nothing's going to happen, though.
Because they're the valid people and we're the invalid people.
But that's the problem, and this is the biggest problem that I have with all of this. You talk to anybody who's sensible, like Dalton and many others, including people that I know, family members and so on and so forth, that will tell you that they are not interested in this kind of malarkey. That are involved in that part of the community. They have no interest in this. By the way, all they wanted to do, and they've already achieved it, is to get to the point where everybody just accepts who they are. That is not what's going on here, and it's not what's been going on for a while with these people that identify in the alphabet community. And Dalton, you can please excuse me for the use of that term. But
I don't care. Honestly, I co-sign the fact that the 10 letters long thing is basically irrelevant.
And it's very hard to argue at this point that they don't keep proving Dave right time.
Yes, they do.
Just consider this.
They don't like that. They don't like the fact that he's calling them out.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is that you can look, if you want representation, you've got it. Now you're overrepresented in every single area. And to people like me,
it'll never be enough though, culture.
Exactly. But see, that's the thing is, so we have to push back on this concept. It's like, okay, you represent this tiny fraction of a percentage of people, right? And then if you define like everybody, I don't know, Dalton, what's the latest actual numbers on what percentage falls in line with LGBTQ plus LMNOP?
The of actual gay people, I don't know off the top of my head.
It's like 6%, right?
What I will say, something along those lines. What I will say is this: for as much representation as they claim to do, and this is something I mentioned earlier, they don't actually make characters who are minorities. They don't. They create characters who are avatars of the conceptual hive mind they've created of what a gay person should be, of what a black person should be, of what a disabled person should be, and so on and so on and so on. Because they don't care about, if you are watching this and you are LGBT, they do not care about you. They care about the LGBT oversoul, the hive mind, the concept of gayness. Just like with Black Lives Matter. They don't care about actual black people. They care about the concept of blackness. And if you refuse to be a avatar of what they consider your proper worldview, your proper identity to be, you will be called internalizing your self-hatred. Because the only correct way for a gay person to be in their minds is on board with every single thing that the LGBT activists can come up with. Same thing with black people.
What the fuck is this?
I didn't know that J. Edgar Hoover had a daughter.
Get in that house and wash that crap out of your hair, Bon.
Looks like the guy from Demolition Man.
That is one of the protesters at Netflix.
Oh, dude, yeah. There's video of that person. There's video of that.
Check this out.
That's Bonnie Rubble.
Scipio says, gay men, I guess he means gay men get away with murder where I worked because the employer is afraid of getting sued. If it was a straight man doing the same shit,
he would
be fired on the spot.
Well, but here's the rub though. If that gay person comes out tomorrow and says, I don't think, X LGBT talking point is constructive to, my rights or my people, that murder charge will all of a sudden be resurrected from the dead like nobody's business. Because again, they don't actually care about these demographics. They care about the abstraction around these demographics. They don't care about black people. They care about blackness. They don't care about gay people. They care about gayness.
Their projection, the projection that they push.
And here's the thing. I mean, and this is the truth. Oren calls it out here a minute ago. In Canada, they get away with murder.
I was gonna expound on that. You're seeing people not wanting to give descriptions of people who are, I want to say the police. I think it's the police and the media as well, not wanting to give descriptions of people who committed crimes because it could be harmful. How the fuck are you supposed to catch the person if you don't release a description?
Right.
Well, you want to get the right person, right?
Yeah.
No matter what, Netflix is a waste of your money if you're trying to find some other place to go. And as much as we've been talking about the Chappelle special and everything else, they are the people who have put forth things like Big Mouth, Cuties, a whole lot of other stuff like
the Death Note remake.
So here's what I want to know from the panel. This whole backlash and Dave Chappelle, is this kind of like, we'll get to give an analogy, The Mandalorian, where you had Luke Skywalker show up and it was joyous, and then suddenly they fired Gina Carano. Is that what's happening here?
Oh yeah, dude. This is the fist of love. This is the problem with a lot of these franchises. Is they are literally destroying them because of ideology. I mean,
we define what goodness is. We define what morality is, and therefore, if you do something that's not it, then you're an immoral person or you're an invalid person.
I want to bring this up real quick, guys, because this is so on point. This is stuff that I've brought up too. Stone Cold Jeremy for $5. The alphabet people are sounding like Christians from the 80s blaming violence and outside sources instead of where it should be.
There's only one problem.
Yes, they do. The vibe is the same.
It's absolutely the same.
Except there's one issue. They sound exactly the same, except one issue. No one, no matter how crazy they went in the 80s, no one got fired for anything. You could say whatever you wanted. Right. You never saw. They could say, "I hate your guts," but you have the right to say whatever the fuck you want to say. I hate you, but you have that's the difference. These people are beyond fanatical. They're jihadists in a way. Meaning,
here's the difference. Cult. Here's the main difference. When the right wing went nuts back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, so on, the powers that be in Hollywood and in the media opposed them because they were left wing. And to a large degree, they were right to do so. The problem is they won the argument, but they refused to acknowledge that they won the argument. So now what you have...
I don't think they won the argument. I think they shoved the argument down the throat.
Well, but
that's not
let me explain what I mean.
Okay.
Back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the actual free thinkers did tend more towards the left because the right wing was being moralistic and authoritarian. Now, however, the moralistic authoritarianism is coming from the left, and again, they defeated the big bad traditionalist patriarchy back in the 80s and 90s, but they refused to acknowledge that they won that argument. So they get to say, we're still fighting the big bad traditionalist patriarchy that's surely out there somewhere.
Right, because that was never their
every
game. They have an end game. Their end game is Marxism, destroy the system so they can be able to come in and go, here's the solution. You understand? They don't care.
No, I think the Marxism is a means to an end, honestly.
No, they don't. You understand? They don't care about LGBTQ. They don't care about blacks. BLM.
I literally just said that.
No, I know, but that's why I'm
like 5 minutes ago.
Correct. They don't care about any of that. Not even the conception of it. All they care about is their end game. We may disagree on what the end game is.
That's where you're going wrong. They care infinitely about the concept.
I don't think so.
It's something that literally comes from German philosophy and German idealism. It was started by a guy named Hegel, and got its apotheosis in what's called the Frankfurt School.
Right. Okay. I want to interrupt because I think you're both right. I think you do have the true believers out there that do follow the ideology, but I think that George is right. The people that are really running the show don't actually believe it. They're just using it as a means to an end.
They're using everybody. They have an end game.
Absolutely.
They're using a Mao-Stalinist perspective where they're going, we got to divide and conquer. Let's grab all these people. We're going to push this group in order to individualize, radicalize, and then isolate the majority. Because the reality is this is a minority that has a megaphone. Because if the majority actually stood up and said, we're done, they could wipe out any minority in this country. They could.
Yep.
That would be it. It's over.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I think you're starting to see it, George. I mean, you're seeing police in Chicago. You're seeing people standing up against these radical minorities that think they're in charge of everything, and they're not. And it's always been in the thought process of domination. But right now, the minority think they're in charge of everything, and they're not. And the majority, as you said, need to take over and say enough. And that's the thing is like, look, you know what? Whether you believe or not that 81 million people leaned a particular way or not, whether or not you believe in what Time magazine, described as fortification, as you say there, George. They
literally admitted to doing
that's irrelevant, right? What we need to do as human beings in the United States of America, in the land of the free, the home of the brave, is actually be brave and stand up and say, enough.
Hang on, I want to read this. First off, thank you, Sci-Fi Nation.
A nice start.
He says, I'm a progressive lefty, and even I think enough is enough.
Absolutely.
Amen, brother. I'm in that exact same boat. I'm a Bernie bro who got yeeted from the left because I don't agree that Donald Trump is a fascist, and I don't agree that fascism is really that big of a problem because it's a very stupid ideology that wouldn't be a problem unless you keep mentioning it.
But look, where's the fascist coming from right now? I mean, let's be honest, Dalton. You are somewhat progressive. Who are advancing in a way that's fascist?
Well,
right now?
it's literally, and all praise to Winston Churchill for this, but it's literally what Churchill said: the fascists of the future will call themselves anti-fascist, and the way they'll do it. This isn't what Churchill said. This is my addition to it. But the way they'll do it is by changing what they mean when they say fascism and changing what they mean when they say opposition to it. That's where you get the, well, Antifa is just anti-fascism. How could you possibly oppose it? The answer, of course, is how are you defining fascism and how are you choosing to oppose it? That's the problem most people have with Antifa is how they choose to define fascism and how they choose to oppose it. They choose to oppose it by instituting
communism. The Klan is not against black people because they start calling themselves the "We Love Black People" club.
Right.
It's the actual ideological substance of the issue, not the moralistic euphemism. But
somebody's gonna say, "Well, how could you call them? How could you say they hate black people? It's in their name. They love black people."
Right.
But that's how fucking stupid people are.
How can you say the evangelical right-winger pearl clutchers of the '80s are against gay people getting married? They're so for family values. It's the same shit. It's find a universalistic moral euphemism, tether your particular ideology to it, and then when anyone criticizes the particular ideology you've welded posthumously to this universal good, claim they're criticizing the universal good. It's the same shit that has ever been done. Every moralistic, authoritarian people in the world has only ever done so in the name of a universal good. It's like Hitler with Das Volk. How can you possibly be against the German people? Surely you must be in favor of the German people, so we now have to get rid of all these Jews. But my Führer, we can be for the German people without doing that. No, we cannot. We have decided this is the valid framework, and therefore you cannot question it there.
But see, this is what I miss. This is what we used to have comics in the old days. Which is you could have people who agree and disagree, be on opposite sides, but still go, hey, that's your right to say that. That was what was special about it.
So Sci-Fi Nation says this isn't about race, it's about humanism. I actually blame a lot of the stuff that is happening on secular humanism to a degree.
Too secular.
I blame it on the failure to transition into secular humanism, because if we actually taught people how to actually look at moral philosophy without the blinders, without ideology, and actually examine philosophies from the ground up like Socrates did, then we wouldn't have this bullshit, because you'd have people going, I'm sorry, this makes no logical sense because of this, this, and this. But because we don't teach kids how you can be moral without some overarching ideology,
because you require
they have to pick one.
Yeah, well, you need a moral foundation. That's why the country was founded on a Judeo-Christian, which was a broad.
No, it was founded on Lockean liberalism. I will not tolerate that bullshit.
No, bullshit. It was a creation. They were deists who incorporated Lockeism.
I thought they were dysdeists.
It depends which ones.
But deism means a non-interventionalist God, not a Judeo-Christian one.
Right, but which then branched out into a Judeo-Christian foundation for moral.
Didn't though.
Okay,
it really didn't though.
No, I'm going to disagree with you, Dalton, and the reason why is because there's a lot of stuff that we have within our society that was based in Judeo-Christianism.
Okay, but even so, you don't need Judeo-Christianity to keep those things. If we taught people how to actually think for themselves,
I'm not going to disagree with you there, but the whole point is that a lot of our values actually come from Judeo-Christian values.
We can
whether you're an atheist or not, your values are Judeo-Christian.
Yeah, that's a separate issue. Whether you can teach it or not, that's different. That I'm not disagreeing with you. You could teach it. I think personally, like I said, you're right. Could it be taught? Yes. I think, George, you need that foundation. I don't know. It hasn't been done that I've seen, but you could be right.
Well, I mean, there are plenty of atheists who, regardless of whatever moral framework they came from, are able to look at, I don't know, Locke or Kant or Socrates or Aristotle and go, I can come to the same conclusions, i.e. murder is wrong, rape is wrong, etc., without the metaphysics and without the ideology in the middle of it. That's the thing. And this
you're talking about a self-discipline. No, you're talking about someone who's self-disciplining without thinking that there's a a greater scheme in the universe or a judgment.
Well,
or...
yeah, and the thing is, and this is not going to make me any friends, but if things are good in the universe, then they would be just as good without a god in the middle of them. Because if God created the world in a certain way because he knew it was good, then that means there's a good separate from him. And if he made the world this way because he thought it would be good, then surely there must be some good separate from him. So why not cut out the middleman and just let people come to these conclusions by themselves? Not to mention, most of them probably already will, because evolutionary psychology exists.
Actually, they haven't 10,000 years. We still keep repeating the same things because we are human animals at the basis. I mean, you want to go to now Descartes, who's going to say, what is reality of consciousness, where you're going to talk about...
But that's exactly what I'm saying. Most universal values can be arrived at by simple human nature, because we're kind of already wired by reason of being social animals to find our way there. The only time people don't find their way to those universal values is when they're abused as children, usually, when their brains are fucked up in the head before they get a chance to
I would say we're also human animals who have greed and lust and love, and we want to compete.
Yes, and we can channel those things into constructive mode. That's why capitalism works.
But we're tossing out Plato and Socrates at the same time. Look, we can get into philosophy discussions, all day long, but it's thank you. But it's not gonna change that the fact the world that we live in is governed by despots. And right now, there's a tiny little fractional group of them that are occupying the various pillars that are supposed to help self-regulate the society that we live in. And the question is, deep in
with this stream.
Yeah. The question is, in what way can we deal with them? And all we can do at this point is mock them in a way that makes them.
Yeah, when you get right down to it, it's still, as it ever was, the aristocracy versus the peasants. And unfortunately, we find ourselves on Team Peasants.
Frontman242 is asking, will you ever invite Cecil? I really don't know Cecil that well.
I don't know. Who is Cecil? I keep hearing that name.
He's another YouTuber. He's kind of funny. There's
one does good stuff.
Last thing I want to point out before we call it night from Mr. Dragon. He says, I would say that Twitter is what got us into this mess. Imagine if it never happened, would things be different?
I disagree. I think Twitter is just a tool and a reflection of human nature.
Yes,
I agree. It is Twitter's fault to a degree in the fact that it basically showed thousands of people who are crazy that they're not alone in their craziness, and they all found each other. Because normally, before social media, you had that one crazy kid in your class,
and you ignored him.
and that everybody ignored. and now all those crazy kids in various cities around the world found each other and banded together, and that's where we are.
But
now.
I mean, the other side of that is, according to them, we're the crazy ones, and we all found each other. And I will say this: you talk about that one lone kid in the class that everyone thought was crazy. I was that kid, and if it weren't for the internet, I wouldn't have found people who.
It's a double-edged sword, Dalton.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think Twitter. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that they're weighing the scale. Algorithmically, I'm sure, to have the crazies get, and there's stuff that happens behind the scenes. People that get blue check marks in a very short period of time. It's like, what's going on there? And so, it's just our elites are trying to find, that's what they're doing right now. They're trying to find a way to propagandize us and execute their psychological warfare on us in a way in this digital.
Need to learn to behave, basically.
Yeah, in this digital age, and they're figuring it out, and they're just so bad at it, we can spot it relatively easily.
It's the same problem as it ever was. It's the the speaker for the people goes to the aristocrat and says, "My lady, the people have no bread," and the aristocrat is so clueless and caught up in her own framework. She says, "Let them eat cake then."
Yeah,
it's the same bullshit problem as it ever was. These people, the people in charge, are not masterminds. They are not schemers. They're foppish children trying to pull shit out of their ass because they don't know enough about human nature to actually convince people. So they try to create a situation where they don't have to convince people.
All right,
absolutely,
last comment,
100% agree.
Mama's Mouse says, "Guys, this is a beautiful thing. How we can all come together, discuss, argue, and still have respect for each other. Great panel."
Absolutely. That's what was the best thing about us. That's what I miss and love. I used to disagree with. I had half my friends are liberal. We would have great discussions. Or it'd be like we're on opposite sides. But then you go eat dinner, hug.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah. For culture, I can't stand culture.
Yeah, nobody can stand culture.
No, well, I would if he would ever actually make time in his schedule so we could stream, but never mind.
Joe Kim Stark for 50 Swedish krona. Deep philosophical discussion. Tom, I just want to talk about movies.
That's true. That's good. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, sorry. I think that might be my fault.
No. Here's my problem with it. In comics knows this is like over at Midnight's Edge, we have a bit of a thing where when we first started, there's the old saying, you never talk about religion, politics, or sports, right? Like that's the easiest way to fucking lose friends real quick because somebody always ends up in an argument that way. So we really took that to heart with especially like the politics and the religion and certain things like that respect. So like I try to just avoid interjecting too much of my own personal politics and my own personal feelings on things just because I don't want to alienate myself from people that are Midnight's Edge. And that's just my own thing because I'm part of Midnight's Edge. But when I'm on here, I will try to engage when I can. Right. But at the same time, I just,
well, there's nothing wrong with being the guy standing in the corner. Just never feel like you're forced to be that guy.
No. But like if I was maybe stoned to the gills, I might have more to add. Like I'll be like all like, yeah, man, like the universe is on the back of your thumb.
I would love to be on that stream.
Yeah,
Bollock on the back of Eternal named that too. And as anyone who's read Terry Pratchett knows.
But there aren't a lot of people that are like me or Wes or probably even George or even comics that spend, or even Dalton probably, that spend a whole lot of time focusing on the political stuff. I mean, I focus on geopolitical stuff. I focus on some stuff that most people do not care about.
Yeah,
right? Because it's I'm interested in it. And the problem is that I do something that a lot of people, including people in my family, don't do, which is I draw lines that connect from point to point that show what's happening in the world. They are incapable of it, and that's okay.
Causality is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, they're incapable of understanding. Okay, this relates to this, and this relates to this, and this leads to this.
Yeah, everything is an isolated incident to some people.
Yeah, and that's where I find a disconnect because again, there are people in my family. I'm like, I don't think you understand. The greatest transfer of wealth just happened. It's continuing to happen. The 1% have become far greater than in number, in value. They've essentially distanced themselves so much from everybody that even the upper class can't even catch up. There's a position where you have the upper class, the middle class, and then, of course, the lower class, and then, of course, the people in the very bottom, the poor and the homeless, that they will never, ever recover now because of what's just happened, because of what is continuing to transpire. They don't understand. Okay, you know what? Send the National Guard to the ports. Okay, we send the National Guard to the ports to unload ships. Well, there's no ships coming in. Ships are still sitting out in the ocean, and you have longshoremen who are paid a ridiculous amount of money, by the way. Yep. They can do that, but you have a whole lot of truckers that aren't even allowed to come into the state because you know why? Some dumb shit rule about that the state of California has made under the
we have decreed, therefore you can't do this incredibly sensible thing that you should do.
That won't allow for people to come in and transport goods, to other places so that they can render goods and services to others. So here's the problem. So now you can't render goods and services across the entire country because one state led by a despot that should have been replaced under, in a normal situation.
Fortification, I think, is what happened in that case. But I digress. Yeah.
But
I just want to say...
No, go ahead.
No, go finish. I thought you were finished.
No. I just continue to get interrupted. But the point being is that what happens is you end up in a situation where the entire country is held hostage to one ideologue's decision-making process, and that changes everything, everywhere. Now, if you have strategically placed ideologues, if you have strategically placed attorney generals, et cetera, you end up in a situation where crime is on the rise, where you have giant amounts of shortages that are similar to Venezuela and other places. It is incredibly frustrating when you're watching it from the outside saying, how can you not see everything that's happening around you? Are you?
There are none so blind as those who will not see, unfortunately.
And I've had those family discussions there, culture about numerous issues, and one of them goes like this, oh, I hate Bill Gates, family member, and I'm like, yeah, he's a bad guy, and then I show the innovating to zero. It's like, no, Bill Gates is just like an evil nerd. He's not like a psychopathic, genocidal maniac.
Well,
like,
he can be both. In fact, they kind of are instrumental to each other. Is the thing.
All right, guys.
It's just like you have the evidence right there.
Yeah, we do. We've hit our limit on turning into a pumpkin, and we will start with Culture Casino, giving our goodbyes.
I hate to be the fact that we ended the stream because I started to get into one of my rants, but
we're ending the stream because it's almost 1 a.m.
Well, Jesus, it's really late.
Yeah, it has I would love to continue, but I'm dying here.
So there are additional words I could say, but most of the words I want to thank you for being here. We couldn't be here without you. Do check out the video I released today on the 50,000 plus articles at the AP. Oh my God! Let AI write, and you have no idea how many other AI articles are being written right now. No idea. Yahoo uses on several other sites. We don't even know. That's the other problem. AP just actually felt like they were obligated to reveal that they are giving you this bologna sausage. So check that out. You also have great shows that are going to occur tomorrow. Of course, Friday Night Tides, which Comics Division is a part of, and George is a huge part of because he's in the chat and he drops giant sums of money. But you also have me with the Friday pre-flight. You have many other folks that I respect, but more importantly, just realize we need you all. You guys make everything that we do possible. The fact that you're here adding likes, that you're retweeting, that you're sharing, anything that you do here on this show makes it more viable. It makes everything that we do resonate better, because without you, the algorithm would not favor us so much, and we need more favor. So share us out, do everything that you can, whether it's here on Thursday or on Monday, any of the Dix division, just support us, man. That's all I ask. I don't ask for a lot more. Thank you so very much for being here. I appreciate you all. Have a great night.
Tom, you there, Tom?
Hi ho. I just want to say, it's nice to imagine that I could fly. I wish I could fly. I'd like to identify as a fly, but I'm a frog, and frogs eat flies. So,
Tom, you have a frog in your throat. Move on.
It's a piggy.
Crazy.
George!
Thank you, Comics, for having me on. Culture. Wes, Tom, always great, and it was great to meet you also, Dalton. I wanted to say you can go check out George the Giant Slayer. Yes, finally, my first video dropped. It's on there now, and I'm going to be seeing Dune right after this, and we'll be releasing a review on Dune the movie, and dropping another video probably tomorrow or Saturday on Chappelle and how that's going. Y'all are a great chat. Love you all. Thank you again.
Always a pleasure to be here on the Thursday Night Throwdown. Thanks for having me, Comics. And it's always great to be here with my amazing friends, Culture Casino, and of course, George, the Authenticator, and Tom, and of course, Nerd Cookies, and... Okay,
Nina?
My memory's failing me. Nina. God damn it. Why did I not remember that? And of course, the best chat on YouTube. Thank you. We love you. And, look forward to the next stream that we do. You can find me at youtube.com/WesMoodyWebcast, minds.com/WesMoodyWebcast, and, of course, odyssey.com/WesMoodyWebcast, and hope to see you there. Thank you, my
Listen
friends.
to this misogynistic bastard forgetting women's names.
I know. I'm a jerk.
And last but not least,
I blame the vodka.
Anyway, hello, folks. My name is Dalton Mortimer. I am the Authenticator. My channel is called the Authenticator. As I always say, I specialize in weird, basically, sort of professionally at this point. Any topic that is too weird for basically everyone else, you will find it somewhere on my channel or in my associated playlist. I talk about geek culture and politics and how they intersect, because they will not fucking stop intersecting. I talk about magic and the occult. I talk about general philosophy. I do songs now. I do covers. I do covers of classic songs. So if that's something you're interested in, I also have that covered. I also do several podcasts and shows with other people. Every Sunday, I talk to my friend, the Brainstormer of Pop Culture, on his channel podcast, The Storm, and we talk about geek shit and pop culture, and also politics. I do a men's rights and men's issues show with my buddy, the marvelous Mr. E. Not to be confused with the asshole who doesn't know philosophy well. Called The Duality of Man. We've talked about dating, and we've talked about divorce. We've talked about circumcision. We've talked about suicide. We've talked about various important men's issues. Other than that, I just randomly show up on a bunch of other people's streams, and I keep that in a playlist on my channel called Guest Appearances and Crossovers. Currently sitting at like 145. At one point, I did have like 157. I don't know if YouTube is being screwy with me or not, but I'd like to get it back up there. Also, please watch. Your subscriptions mean nothing if you don't actually watch the content, so please do that. You can also find me on Twitter at The Authenticator, spelled without a U, because Twitter is stupid and won't give you enough characters to do things. Other than that, I probably will randomly show up in a bunch of different places all over the internet, and you probably won't know unless you follow my channel and keep an eye on the playlist. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for everyone who was on the panel tonight. Thank you to all of you who are watching. Thanks to everyone who super chatted and some other stuff. And I believe I still have one more for Grant Gregory that I need to get to for $1. And this is funny. George is so George that he Georges all over the other Georges. Yell this part. George!
George! George! Oh, were we all supposed to?
No.
We need a countdown for that.
Yeah, we do.
You pussies, we don't have a countdown on FNT.
Bye, folks.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. A huge thanks to all the Subscribestar supporters. Without you, Comics Division would probably be crying in a corner somewhere.
Yes,
The
right
Big
now.
Spender, Roger Shrubber, Toxic Man Flu, and HMStix. Take my money, damn it. LDH27513, Dexidoodle, J.A.F.O, subscriber number 22F2C6C3, and that 70s rock fan. I'll buy that for $1. Colin D, Mech AG94, Jenna Lyn, and DiabloDame. Thank you for all your support. You are awesome.